talk about HaKohen, the rest of the Mishpahah. There's some updates that have come through, so put the update on there. Want to make sure it's still coming in crystal clear. Probably most of you have had to deal with the updates as well, so everything's crystal clear. We're fired up when the Kohen is ready. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Have a wonderful Sabbath.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom to you, awesome tribes of Israel. This is Rabbi Simon Elta from North America, Ohio at the moment, and it's not so bad. Weather is not hot over here. It's not cold, not hot. We're kind of in the middle somewhere. We did have a hurricane warning 2 days ago. While I was sitting over here, there was a hurricane alarm that was sent. Usually over here what happens is that when a hurricane's about to hit, a tornado's about to hit, not a hurricane. When a tornado's about to hit, or a hurricane, you get a message on the phone, and it says, expected, hurricane or tornado at such and such time. Please take precaution, leave house, or whatever, take cover. So I had that message on my phone, and it kind of gave about 30-40 minutes or so of warning. And I just sat here. I just sat here saying that no tornadoes passing through this road. And so nothing happened. Basically all quiet around this front. So anyhow, that's that. It's kind of sometimes funny, because there was one time I was in Florida, Pensacola, and there was nighttime, and there was early hours of the day, I think there was a tornado that went through Pensacola, Florida, one part of it. It ripped through a building apartment in seconds, and that building apartment's not far. It's a place where I sometimes used to go to pick up an ice cream at Dairy Queen, and it's like right overlooking a real nice long bridge, and there's a seafront there and the bay of the sea, and it's beautiful scene. And apparently it ripped through the apartment block over there. I think it destroyed about 9 apartment blocks. But I was, so fast asleep in my bed that I didn't hear the wind going through. So nothing happened in my street. So that's basically, you do get occurrences like this. But Baruch Hashem Yahweh, where the Kohen is, there is protection and blessing. Nobody was hurt actually in that particular tornado either. Even though 9 apartment blocks were ripped, nobody died. So it's pretty good. I think that I had a real good testimony or two, and I'm not sure if the person is not in the room. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share it, but I think maybe I will share it. I don't think the person will have a problem sharing it. I want to read it a little bit, and you can get an idea. But before I read it, let me give you a little laughter time, I guess. This is a joke that kind of picked up. At an ecumenical religious conference, 3 panelists were asked where they stand as to when life begins. We believe life begins at conception, says the panel's Catholic priest. We believe life begins at birth, says a liberal Protestant. We believe that life begins when the kids are out of this house and the dog dies, says the rabbi. So that's basically a joke of our week. And today we're going to do our Pasha WeDavar, Pasha 34. Although tonight, as you know, that is the festival of Shavuot in the Jewish calendar, lunar calendar. So those of you celebrating the festival today, Hag Shavuot, Sameach, have a very happy festival of weeks. This is the festival when the Torah was given at Mount Sinai to Israel as a covenant, bridal covenant, marital contract, as we call it, marital covenant. So this is a very important time in our calendar in terms of, not that the Torah wasn't around. You see, this is another misconception that people believe that, there was no Torah before that and nobody knew commandments. That's all not true. Torah was around, it just wasn't given in a document or in a covenant format like this before. That's the only difference. So therefore, hence why I always say that never say never, because the Torah was already granted and given to Abraham and before Abraham, Noah had it, and before Noah, even Adam had the Torah. Of course, they didn't have a pen and paper to write it on. So, as you know, the development of pens and papers, you know, the ability to write on a papyrus was created later. And as the ability was created later, writings and mathematics and other things, you know, they kind of came about, and therefore we basically started to begin to write scrolls and things, you know, with ink and on parchment that was dried up from trees and whatnot. You know, all of these things came about, and a lot of people will tell you that Egypt, probably they say, was the first civilization to write and compute mathematics and all that. But I'll tell you one thing: history is a little bit bleak, you know, a little bit ambiguous at the stage of Egypt. But what a lot of people don't know, which is actually historically correct and accurate, is that you see, a lot of people think that Egypt was ruled by people from the Sahara Desert, and so there's reams and reams of books written on that. However, the reality is this, that in very early days, and this is in the days of Genesis chapter 10, is you can go and read that and you'll get some understanding from the Hidden Truths, Hebraic Scrolls, or the Abrahamic Faith, and Nazarene Hebraic Study Scriptures. You get a lot of understanding from that. In Genesis 10, we have some real evidences of what was going on in the early history, when we find that India was actually a ruling power, not Egypt. See, a lot of people don't know that. They're ignorant of their historical facts. So when India was in power and India had rulers, and if you now today go back to Indian history, you will actually discover those rulers that actually ruled the world from India. Yeah, that's surprising, isn't it? They ruled the world from India. Shocking to some people. So Egypt was actually ruled by India. There were people who had migrated, or I should say controlled or manipulated, I don't know whichever word you want to use, they controlled or they manipulated the power in Egypt until later times, when the power was handed over to rulers from what is then discovered later would be saying the Sahara Desert. That came later, by the way. That wasn't in the early times. During the times of what we know as Joseph, during that time and before that, just before that, is before Joseph even got into Egypt, would have been ruled by some Indian rulers. Problem is this, that today a lot of people think that all Indian people looked white, but the problem is that the ancient Indians were fairly dark people. They were brown and dark people. That's the fairly obvious issue, and a lot of people don't take that into consideration because they think that all Indians looked white. And so Indians didn't look white in the ancient times. Even today you find many dark colored Indians who are living in the subcontinent. So at the same time, India was not just ruling Egypt in those days. And you see, when you look at historians' writings, they say, oh, the invasions from India into Egypt. So India did conquer Egypt at some point early in the history, before Joseph, during Joseph's, I would say even before Joseph's days. So these are the kind of histories that a lot of people are not aware of. And during that time, India was also ruling Saudi Arabia, because Arabia was a part, it was like a peninsula that was ruled by Indian kings. Now, there's a surprise for you, right? Now, how do we know that is true? Because as late as before the birth of the Muslim Prophet, as late as that, there was a plaque that was found that is today situated in the Turkish Museum in Turkey. I believe it's in Istanbul, Turkey, that has a plaque of an Indian king. They found this in what the Muslims revere as their holiest place, the Kaaba in Mecca. So it was found in there, and it actually named an Indian king. By the way, he's a Hindu king. So this, when the Bible speaks about worship of sheep, and it talks about worship of the bull, aka also known today as the cow, would have come from India, by the way. And because the Africans had no such worship of bulls and cows, they were more into witchcraft. And you can find that today, a lot of Africans today are also into witchcraft, not into bull and cow worship. So therefore, that's evidence for those who want to know how the Indians were ruling that land. And today you find that India, as it calls a cow a sacred animal for that very reason. So that would be the interesting part, just a little bit of history front for you. And yeah, Rabbi Kefa saying that indeed the Africans would be eating the bulls and cows. Yeah, absolutely they would be. And Indians, they held it real sacred. They wouldn't touch it. The urine of the cow, the bulls, these were sacred animals. They would not eat it. They would not touch it. So that was that. This was the ancient Indians. And so therefore, ancient Indians are the progenitors of the writings, and they are the progenitors of the maths. That is actually later subscribed to different people. Everybody wants to take ownership and be the hero of the day, so to speak. Our country invented, right? No, India invented all of that stuff. And Buddha comes out of India, by the way, as well. So karate, kung fu that you see today that China claims, by the way, that also comes out of India. India was a progenitor of kung fu and karate. And it actually migrated from India to China. And that's where Chinese further manipulated it, and yoga as well. Yeah, yoga as well. All of these things came out of India. And so let me state for the record, Abraham also came out of India. Abraham and his family came out of India, and they then migrated out to Turkey, and from there they migrated into Israel. So it's all this is all history. This is very important history as well. So do not discount the Indian people. I was reading a historical treatise on India that the British stole $43 trillion worth of Indian economy. In those days they ruled India. Listen to this, $43 trillion by today's worth. And they are saying that today UK entirely, the GDP of UK entirely is worth 43 trillion. And they can never pay that back. So they stole that from India, by the way. And there was a little excerpt of how they stole it. Basically, the British taxed the Indians when they captured and subjugated the Indians. They taxed them, and they used the same tax to pay the same Indians back to buy their products and sell it through London. London was the hub that was used for issuing the note, the paper note that said you had a transaction of sale. So in those days it was sale was done in gold and silver. And so the London was the issuing authority. So if you were French, Spanish, German, you had to go through London to make your purchases in India. And what they did, the British, they used the Indian tax money to make payments back to the Indians. And they kept the gold or whatever else themselves. So this way they siphoned out what is believed to be over 150 years, $43 trillion. Britain was made on the back of Indians. Let's now put it to perspective. So if today any British person claims that Britain was made by itself, Britain had nothing of its own. The dead land is surrounded by sea. There was nothing there. So they invaded out, and they conquered other nations, and India was one of the key primary nations they conquered, and they siphoned out a lot of money out of India. And today, India today, obviously, as you know, historically, India was one country that today is split into three countries, into Pakistan and Bangladesh. And in 1947, it was split into Pakistan, India. And then I believe it was then split into West Pakistan, which is Bangladesh, and East Pakistan, which today is called Pakistan, I guess. So that's really a brief. I can teach you a lot about Eastern history. There's a lot more there, but I think that's sufficient to give you a little bit of a historical tickling, as you might want to know. So the British were fairly nasty with the Indians in the old days, and they really mistreated them and abused them a lot, and a lot of things were said and done. But today they all some of the British historians will acknowledge that, but others will try to hide that information so that other people don't know how bad they were. But that's his historical basis. Now, coming back to the testimony of the person earlier, and I want to read out the testimony. So you can get an idea of what's going on. Welcome to the room. Those of you came in late, good morning to you. And those in North America, and Shabbat Shalom to you as well. And happy Shavuot festival that's going to begin tonight. Happy festival to you tonight as you're going to celebrate it today. Make sure you have plenty of cheesecake, and you get some good meal, and give thanks to the God of Israel. That would be great. So let's go back to the testimony. The testimony is written in such, the person says, Rabbi HaKohen Shalom, I am thankful to you for assisting me as I went through my opioid withdrawals. I think I am through the worst part or all of it. The exercises were great and allowed me to be able to cope with the worst of it. Again, thank you. And then it says that again, Tuesday 28th, my date is marked Tuesday 28th of May. I received a deposit in my bank account unexpectedly. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Thanks to you, HaKohen, and the person who sent it. Thursday 30th May, the water pump went out on my vehicle. Because of the deposit, it was able to be repaired on the Friday. The Abba already provided before I asked. All praises to the Supreme King. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Thank you, HaKohen. So that's the testimony for those of you who would like to know that the things that are being taught at Forever Israel, Abraham Faith.info, to our beloved awesome tribes, they are indeed working great results. Rabbi Kefa sent me a little testimony. I believe it was sent maybe last night, this morning. Said that he's been grounding his father, who was suffering from a little bit of delusions and didn't know where he was. He's been grounding him for a whole 3 months, every day, religiously. And he said that he got a phone call from his dad, and the dad said he was in a much better position, was in a much better situation, and much better health than before. And he said to him that he would like to go over to San Antonio and meet with him and his family. Now, he lives about 3 hours away, I believe, in Corpus Christi, which is a seaside state, or seaside town. So, is he in Houston now? Okay, so you've got some other relatives living there. Okay, so he's in Houston. So, I know he's got relatives in Corpus Christi as well. So Houston is about, I guess it's about 3 hours away, isn't it? Because I've driven through Houston a number of times. Yeah, it's about 3 hours away. So Houston to San Antonio, so he'll be expecting his dad to visit him. I said to Kefa, Rabbi Kefa, that when he gets to you, then let me know. I can assist you with some more, energy healing exercises that will help him in his particular condition. Because we have many exercises that we can do, and there are energy healing exercises apart from grounding that can be done to assist people. And there were some that I gave to a couple of people to assist them, and they really helped them a lot. A lot of the drugs that people are taking, and they can be worked in conjunction with what you take. They don't counteract, they don't have any side effects. So it allows people to slowly wean off the hard drugs. And I mean any type of opioids or medication or whatever conditions that you are dealing with. It can help you alleviate through these exercises that you can do on a daily basis. That's part of your daily routine. Now, I want to say that our parsha is WeDavar, or the word. WeDavar, it's kind of funny I say that, because a lot of people don't really care much about the word. People are only interested in, is Jesus a Messiah? Is Jesus not the Messiah? If it's not the Messiah, I don't want to talk to you. That's what people are interested in, but I really don't have time for that. There was one particular guy came to me a couple of days ago on Facebook and said to me, posed some kind of a question, and said to the effect of, this virgin birth, he had an issue with it, well, how can there be a virgin birth, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So I said to him, I said that clearly you do not know the Bible. Clearly. Your question stems from ignorance. And he said to me, with all due respect, Rabbi, but I do. I said, really? And I said to him, if you knew the Bible, you would not have asked that question to me. That, is the virgin birth, it cannot be, and this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth. The usual spill they give you. So I said to the person, there is an incident in the Torah, not in the New Testament, in the Torah, where a man was required, if he wanted to take his wife, if he suspected her of adultery, to the high priest. The high priest will then do a process, and after he will do that process, if the woman was found innocent, she would be miraculously impregnated. I said, do you know that? He obviously had no clue about it. So I said, don't tell me that you know the Bible. So let's go away and go study. So I left him at that, and a little bit shell-shocked. He was a little bit shell-shocked about that. I said, don't read that over there. I said, this is my whole point. You don't know your Bible. So don't tell me that you don't read that over there. The Bible's not going to tell you every little detail that it has. So anyhow, I said that was a miraculous pregnancy. It could be akin to a virgin birth. So I said to him that don't tell me what God can or cannot do. You're not sitting in God's seat. Basically, to the effect of. And see, this is how you have to deal with ignorant people. Then he comes back today and he says to me this morning, he sends a message and then he says something to the effect of, Rabbi, do you believe in the Mashiach, Jesus being the Messiah? And I said, and that he didn't fulfill the prophecies, and that, how can he be the Messiah? Typical Jewish spill. So, the Orthodox Jewish spill. So I told him, I said, yes I do, I believe in the Messiah, and yes I do, and the prophecies, I said, they're not for the ignorant to understand. I said the same thing. I said, they're not for the ignorant to understand. And so he goes to me, but, I believe that you are ignorant. I said, that's okay. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. So removed him from the list. So this is the kind of people that you have to deal with, because they are stuck with one point. Oh, did he do the prophecy? Did he not do the prophecy? Did he say this? Did he not say this? But the problem is this. A lot of words of Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, are misunderstood and mistaken. They're taken wrongly. And then they try to apply it into some kind of prophecy and some kind of fortune telling, and then they're completely misrepresented. And see, this is how Jewish rabbis who don't believe in the Messiah, they play with that. They play around with that, and they will do that all the time. And because they have to mesmerize their audiences into believing that Jesus is not the Messiah, well, they have become their Messiah. They have become the Messiah of their audiences. And they lie, and they will continue to lie, and they'll continue to misrepresent the Torah because they don't even follow it. Show me a single rabbi today. I would like to see a single rabbi today that actually follows the Torah. And I can show you 10 rabbis that don't follow the Torah. I can count 10 on my finger. Ashkenazi rabbis today in Israel that do not follow the Torah. That they claim they do, but they actually follow doctrines and teachings of Yochanan ben Zakkai world over. I don't care if it's Chabad. I don't care if it's, some other organization. They all follow Yochanan ben Zakkai. Is that the Torah though? The answer is no. So there you have it. That's the truth of the matter. Now, a lot of the words that Yeshua used, Jesus used, they had a multifold meaning. Now, of course, I'm not going to spend my class session today to explain the multifold meanings of his words, but I think that I have already done that. I've written a book. I've written several books. I've explained it here in simple terms. I've explained it to people who actually come here in simple sentences. I've taken a verse from certain portions of the New Testament. I've explained what it means in detail at that time, and I think that the information is already out there. It's already been put out by me numerous times, and if anybody was really wanting to know, all they're going to do is go and listen to the previous lectures. Rabbi Kefa is saying they care about numbers, not the world. They think numbers rule, not Torah, not that Torah is king. Absolutely, the people care about numbers and they don't really care about Torah, because as I told you, these rabbis do not follow the Torah. They follow Kabbalah, they follow Yochanan ben Zakkai, they follow tradition. That's what they follow. So let them be, let them continue. Eddie is saying, Rabbi, where did the Torah start to become corrupted? In Babylon before they returned to rebuild the temple. Well, the Torah did not become corrupted after Babylon. The Torah became corrupted just before the temple was being destroyed. Because just before that time, the rabbis had made their rabbinic laws. Before, when Jesus was around, when he was going around, he was speaking to the people, and you could actually see these conversations in the New Testament. They are there for historical reasons. These are the conversations he had with the Pharisees, with the Sadducees, with other people around him, and what they believed. It was all tradition. A lot of it was tradition. None of it was Torah any longer. So during his time, as he was growing up, this has become, Torah had become no Torah. It had been put away. People started to follow this rabbi and that rabbi and this, and so it was all corrupted back then. The priesthood, by the way, did not stop the tradition. They did not follow it. They did not stop it. They lost his power, basically. Yes, they did lose their power, because as Rome was ruling Israel at the time, the priesthood didn't really have power to change the people. So they kept their laws into the temple alone, and they followed their laws religiously and rigorously in the temple, and it was basically part of their temple function. So this is why you never find the priesthood did a sunset day. You don't find it. Now ask people to explain, well, why didn't the priesthood do a sunset day? How come they did a sunrise day? Nobody has an answer to that. Well, I'll give you the answer. They did not follow tradition. They were far away from it. They refused to follow tradition. They stuck to the Torah days of sunrise. And that's how the temple was destroyed later, because these people said, no way, we're not going to change for anybody. And they kept to their rules and regulations based on the written word. And the Sadducees, you will hear about this. The Sadducees refuse traditions. They refuse rabbinic traditions. They said, we are not going to follow rabbinic traditions. And the Sadducees, by the way, were the priesthood. So you do find those discussions and arguments taking place in the pages of the New Testament. They're very interesting. I mean, they give you a lot if you kind of follow them through. And we do see them in different parts of the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and we do see them in the other letters and in the other scriptures as well. Having said that, that's another discussion for another time. But today we're going to have a quick look at what I believe was, let me have a look at my notes, chapter 1 of WeDavar, which states, and Yahweh called to Moshe and spoke to him out of the tent of the appointed time, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, if any man from you bring an offering to Yahweh, you shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock. If his offering be, hold on a second, that's by Yikra, that's not, sorry, it should be WeDavar, chapter 1, I was the wrong chapter. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of the appointed times, on the first day of the second month, in the second year, after they came out of the country of Mitzrayim, saying, take the census of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their mishpachatim, their families, to the bayt, to the houses of their abtim, for fathers with the number of their names, every male by their polls. From 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel, you and Aaron shall count them by their armies. And with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the bayith of his avot. And these are the names of the men that shall stand with you, of the tribes of Reuben, Elizur the son of Shidur, of Shimon, Shilmiel the son of Zurishaddai, of Yehuda, Nachshon the son of Aminadab, etc., etc. Then he goes through all the different tribes, and then he says, these were the renowned of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their avot, head of thousands in Israel. And he says, Moshe took these men which are expressed by their names, They assembled all the congregations together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigree after their mishpachot families by the birth of their fathers, avot, according to the number of their names from 20 years old and outward by their census. So basically these people were registered from 20 onwards. If there was a war of Israel with somebody, then they'll be able to go and take part. Okay, so that is Numbers chapter 1. Now let me have a look at this and see Numbers chapter 1. Let me see what else we can see in here. Now it then goes through the numbering of the different tribes, how many tribes there were. It starts counting each tribe, which you find in the same chapter. Later in the chapter, it starts to count how many can go to war, how many thousands there were, etc., etc. It seems from all the counting that there were, the lot more of Yehudah. Yehudah seemed to be the bigger tribe. And then in verse 49 says, "Only you shall not number the tribe of Levi, neither take the sum of them among the children of Israel. But you shall appoint the Levim over the tent of testimony, and over all the vessels there, and over all things that belong to it. They shall bear the tent and all the vessels there, and they shall minister to it, and they shall encamp around about the tent." So clearly, from here we can see that the Levim were not counted for war, and they were reserved for service to the God of Israel. However, they did help because they always led the battles, but they were not counted within the battles because they were like, as you can say, they were like akin to SAS or akin to Delta Force. There were people who were front people who did the front work, but they only entered the front work when the need arose. So this is what we find with these particular tribes. And then we have the chapter 2, which is talks about that every tribe must have their own banner and their own symbol. So each tribe had their own banners and symbols. And then chapter 3 speaks about the generations of Aaron, and then it speaks about the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadav, the firstborn, and Avihu, and Eleazar, and Ithamar. And it talks about Aaron's 4 sons that were anointed as priests to minister to the God of Israel. And then it talks about Nadav and Avihu died before Yahweh when they offered strange fire before Yahweh in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the Kohen's priest's office in the sight of Aaron their father. So the 2 sons that survived of our forefather Aaron was of course Eleazar and Ithamar. By the way, I happen to be related to one of those sons. Biologically I'm talking about. And so therefore they were the ones who came down, and they became the 2 different types of priesthood that we know about later in the days. Again, that's all kind of mingled up, and a lot of people are confused today as to which priesthood is active and which isn't. But the priesthood that is active in the later days is sons of Zadok are the ones that are active. Isn't it surprising that the mayor of London is called Sadiq? That's also Zadok, by the way, in Hebrew. So it's kind of interesting. The President Trump was over there recently, and there was a lot of slanging match going on between the 2 of them. Kind of interesting politically. Now, okay, so let me go back to chapter 4. See if there's before the next chapter. Let me see if there's anything here. It all talks about the furnishings and the things, and the altar and other things, and so on and so forth of the sanctuary. It talks about and they shall put it in all the vessels there with a covering of blue leather, and shall put it upon a bar, and upon the golden altar they shall spread a cotton cloth of blue, and cover it with a covering of blue leather, and shall put to the staves there, and they shall take all the instruments of ministry wherewith they minister in the sanctuary. Okay, let's stop at the blue. I think that's a good one to talk about a little bit. Cloth of blue. Now, if you remember, I tell people that who are listening, live or otherwise, I tell people to take a blue candle. And what you do, now I have a blue cloth on my table over here, especially got this blue color, I guess, because blue means something to me. It doesn't probably mean nothing to anybody else, but it actually does mean something to me, because blue, a lot of people will tell you, Christianity generally, or other people say, oh, blue just means the sky color and heaven. No, it doesn't. Blue color is a very important color. Blue color is a color of abundance. Blue color is a color of wealth. Blue color is a color of royalty, as is purple, by the way. So when I say to people, get a blue candle and light it for your abundance purposes, then that is the meaning behind it. Because we, the priesthood, knew what blue means. Majority of the people out there, running around with like headless chickens, don't know what blue really means. They just ascribe simple meanings to it. But here, particularly, God is very particular about what is a priesthood supposed to do. And it tells them, it says when the camp moves forward, Aaron shall come and his sons, and they shall take down the covering veil and cover the ark of testimony with it, and shall put thereon the covering of blue leather, and shall spread over it a cloth wholly of blue, and shall put in the staves there, and upon the table of lachem, table of bread, lachem panaim, which is the bread of faces, and upon or they call it show bread in your Bibles, and put the bread of the faces, they shall spread a cloth of blue. Listen to this carefully now. They shall put a cloth of blue, and put thereon the dishes, and the spoons, and the bowls, and the covers to covers withal, and the continual lachem shall be thereon. Full stop. That is such a beautiful verse and critical verse. People say to me, Rabbi, where is this in the Bible? Okay, people, here it is in the Bible. That the abundance comes from the blue. Because what did we put on the table? The blue cloth. What did we put on the top of the blue cloth? Our bread, our spoons, our knives, our bowls, our covers, everything on top. And it says, and they shall spread upon them a cloth of scarlet. That is, what is scarlet? It might be dark red color. And cover the same with the covering of blue leather, and shall put it in the staves thereof. And they shall take a cloth of blue. So I often speak about the red candle or the scarlet candle as well, which says to do with love. This is where I get it from. People, families, awesome tribes of Israel. I get it from these verses, that the scarlet, the deep red color, was a color that God used with a loving concern and with a loving relationship with Israel. And it was put through the priesthood to do that, to show that the two colors that God continues to show there in that particular verses is the blue and the scarlet. Scarlet is what I might call, I guess I would probably call it dark, deep red kind of color. Those kind of colors I'd probably say are scarlet colors. So therefore, why the scarlet? Because it's the color of, you might say blood. It's not just blood. It was a color to show deep, deep love of the God of Israel with Israel. Deep, deep connection of love. It's like a husband with a bride. Because remember, this is Shavuot. This is where the marriage contract, covenant took place. Marriage is a covenant. It took place between Israel and God. And there was a deep, deep bond of love. Scarlet color. Okay? Deep red color. Then the blue color. Why the blue? For abundance. Hence why I say to you that when you get your candle and you do your morning ritual with the money, you should always use blue candle, or at least try to get a dark color candle, blue, dark blue, purple. And if you're going to do a love relationship, if you're ever going to have a love relationship, a relationship issue, your girlfriend left you, your wife don't want to love you any longer, a husband don't want to love you, what do? You get a dark, a scarlet color candle, a red, deep red color candle, and you then start to meditate on it. You start to use that towards your loved one. This is where I get these things in the Bible, because to most people these are irrelevant. They don't even know what they mean. They think it's just, oh yeah, they did that little ritual in the old days and blah blah blah, and means nothing. It actually means a lot. Rabbi Kefa, yes, the Chinese people, they marry in all red clothing, and the Chinese people exchange little red books, which is the marital contract in the China side. They give you 2 red books, one to the bride and one to the bridegroom. In Pakistan, it is a tradition in India and Pakistan, it has been for thousands of years, that a bride always wears red color, dark red color, always she wears a red color. And I guess the Christians, modern Christians in Pakistan, have now started to wear white color. They start to copy the British and the Americans, but it was never like that. In Pakistan, India, tradition has always been taken from the Bible for red. They always knew that the red color was a love color. They always knew it was a color that was chosen by God, and they always use that. Muslims use it. Christians use it. Even today, many Christians use red color today still. They still don't do the white. So I was, talking to somebody, and they told me, they said what the bride does, she'll wear a particular dress from home, may it be red, a dress or some other dress, and she'll come to the church, then she'll switch to the white dress, then she'll get married in the white dress. However, actually, the old tradition was not to use a white dress. It was to use a red dress only. So this is something in China, they still stick to the red color, and they stick to their red little books. And when they have festivals, a lot of the festivals, they have these red envelopes as well that they give to people. So a lot of that in the East is going on in the red. So this is where the red ideas comes from. So I would encourage you to consider that in your meditation, why I've been emphasizing on red. Now the other thing is this, that I wanted to pinpoint certain things that came to my attention regarding manifestations, and regarding patience, and regarding perseverance. Because what I find is that what's happening is a lot of people are not clear. As I had a discussion with a few people last week, I found a lot of people are not clear about how to write their affirmations. Maybe it could be that maybe me and Rabbi Kefa were not clear enough to explain how to formulate I think we have been saying it, but I don't know, maybe I haven't been clear about it, and this is why people are still confused. And what people do is they end up with a very long affirmation, which is neither here nor there, which doesn't really help them much. Now, my suggestion is this today for your affirmations. I'm going to make a very good suggestion, is that you have a practice of writing your affirmation long and short. You make 2, the same one. So, for instance, somebody who desires to have a car, and they will write an affirmation, and I'm not picking on anybody here, I'll just give an example. Somebody writes an affirmation and says, I'm driving a red color car. The car has leather trim. The car has a digital radio. The car has GPS map in it. The car has, 7-spoke alloys. And the car has a CD player or a DVD player. So for one car, you end up with about 7 or 8 lines of text. I'm not saying it's wrong. Remember, it's not about wrong or right here. It's about getting the best, how should I say it? Best flavor or best result. The best result. So if you put down, I am driving my red color car with a leather trim, with a digital radio, with a DVD player, with whatever other 7-spoke wheels, with a whatever symbol, and that's okay. You can do that. You can write it like that. You can put out 8 lines of text. Only problem is you're gonna get fed up with it. if you have to read that every day, focus on it, eventually you're gonna get tired. You're gonna say, this is not, this is too much text for me. And if you have to write that, you're gonna get even more tired because your hand's gonna get tired writing those 8 lines of text you put down. So my suggestion to you is this: you can have your 7 or 8 lines of text in one line, but the other side, what you need to do is make it concise and make it a liner, like a 1-line text. So you can have 2. Therefore, maybe at best 2 lines. So therefore, it's easier to write in the morning in your script. So instead of saying, and I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying it's very wordy, and it may not have the same powerful effect. If you say, I'm driving my red car, which has a leather trim, which has 7-wheel spokes, which has a DVD player in it, a movie video player, it's got 4 USB drives, 4 USB slots, it's got a plug as well for power, blah blah blah, and all that. That's a very wordy statement. It's very wordy, and it will make you tired reading it every day, and you will kind of lose your focus. It is much better than to put it in 2 ways. Like you have this one wordy. If you like to have it wordy, okay, keep it wordy to one side. Now write a second one, succinct, to the point, and it will go like this: I am enjoying driving my new car with all the features. Full stop. It is wonderful. That's your entire statement in one. What you put down with 15 statements, I put down with 1. So now you can have 2 versions of your affirmations. One version will be your 15 statements of that same car, and my other one will be just the 1-liner text which covers everything. So my suggestion is that you can practice both, and I can tell you one thing, that the second one will work the most powerfulest, because it is the simplest, it is the most accurate, it incorporates everything. It incorporates your leather, your trim leather, your 7 spokes, your DVD player, the whole thing, because you said it has all the features. That's everything. So then you can pick and choose which features you want. So this is the way you need to word your statements. Your statements need to be worded succinctly, and that's one goal. Now remember, some of the people that I deal with, sadly, I have to say sadly, what they do is they start something real rigorously, happily. Then 3 weeks later, they are no longer doing it. They have stopped doing it because they practice it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 5, maybe 6 weeks, 2 months. Then they say, oh, nothing is happening. Oh, nothing is going on. My life is still at the same place. They stop doing it. They move on to something else. Now, I have stated this many times. Yes, you can, absolutely, Eddie, and I will give you a description of that one in a second as well. Keep me on the reminder list. Remind me if I don't, and I'll give you a description of the relationship too. So, because I was speaking to a student this morning, and I had to explain to him how to word his statement for his wife. He's not even married yet, so I told him how to word it. So, the thing is that you have to remember that the statement, you see, perseverance is very important, and belief. And what happens is a lot of people lose perseverance very quickly because we are all used to getting things quick in the West. We put our toast in our toaster and boom, it comes out. And when I went to the Thomas Edison Museum, a couple of weeks back, well, they showed me a toaster in the 18th century. The woman had to stand with the toast in front of a fire for a few minutes and twist the sides. It was kind of heavy. She had to twist the side to do both sides before she could even bring it to the table. Now, in the 21st century, we stick our toaster, the 2 toasts in, boom, and 30 seconds second, pop, it pops out, and so everything is now quick. So you're kind of thinking the same way, hey, I've got to have my thing fast. Why isn't it coming so fast? And so therefore people tend to get disheartened quickly. When things don't change, after 2 months they get disheartened, and then they say, well, my situation hasn't changed, forget it, this is not working, and they'll walk away and they'll start doing something else. I have spoken a number of times about drinking many waters. The problem with drinking many waters is this: yes, you can drink many waters. You could go drink water from Walmart, from Publix, from Costco, and I'm not talking about water. I'm talking about teachings. When you hear teachings from different teachers, unless they have a confluence, unless they help you to arrive at the same goal, the problem is going to be, one's going to say one thing, the other one's going to say other thing, and you're going to tend to be like, let me follow this man for 2 weeks. Then let me follow this man for 2 weeks. Let me follow this woman for 3 weeks. Then let me follow this one for 4 weeks. Where'd you get with that? Nowhere. Fast. You will lose your entire motion and ability to acquire anything, because nothing is happening, because you keep switching. 1 teaching, 2 teaching, 3 teaching, 4 teaching. You keep switching, and when you keep switching, you will not get your desires and your dreams, because you're moving too much. You keep changing, and you keep reversing, and you keep going. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's what was going to go happen. So drinking water of a lot of rivers and burying your head in books is not going to help you. If you think that you can read reams and reams of books and it's going to make you a better person, it's going to change your life suddenly, it's not going to happen. Books don't change people. The person changes within by his personal endeavors, not a book. Book will not change you. Book will only help you in giving you guidance. Now, if you apply that knowledge in the book, then maybe you will get somewhere with it. But if you only read it for fun, or just maybe you read it for edification, which is okay, you can. But the problem is that different books will give different teachings. Now, I read a book that is right on my desk right now called Creative Visualization. In Creative Visualization, there's actually a very false statement in this book which says, oh, if you try to do this and for good it will work, if you do it for evil it won't work. That statement is false, by the way, because when you apply yourself, it will work for evil and it will work for good, because God creates evil and God creates good, because we are now tapping into God. So then when people say, oh, it won't work for evil, no, it will work for both. So that's a false statement. See, this is what I mean by reading different books and different authors, and they give you different information from their angle. Sometimes they'll mislead you because they won't tell you the truth. They will probably, and I reckon this woman did it not because of a deliberate lie, but she probably wanted to not people to apply this to wicked things. Wicked things meaning, if you want to, destroy somebody's relation, maybe destroy somebody's finances, and she did it so that you don't do that. Oh, absolutely, Eddie. That criminal masterminds accumulate great wealth because they use it. They use this kind of techniques for that purposes. So my point is this, that don't believe every statement you read in books like this, that it doesn't work, or it'll work for one thing and not the other. It actually works across the board. Let me tell you one thing. If you want to kill somebody, yes, you can. You can bring somebody's death with it. So I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, you can't bring somebody's death, because you can. You are in that form, in that power mode. But I will go so far as to say that karma will visit you also if you do that. You see, that's what this woman didn't say. Instead of saying to the people that, hey, it won't work for evil, what she should have told people that it will work, but don't do it, because karma will go around and karma can visit you afterwards too. If you want somebody's demise and that person's demise is affected by your technique, it depends on that person how weak he is, and if his demise is affected by you, then you can expect your demise as well later down the road, because that's karma going to visit you. But if you help somebody, if you build somebody, then you can expect to be builded as well, because then it's positive karma helping you. So there's a negative and there's a positive. So this is where authors, unfortunately, are not honest when they write their books. So I have to say, be careful of what you read, because you may read books that say one thing, but they mean another. So therefore, it always help people to build them, help people to establish them. That will always come back as a positive karma to you. Always help people. Always don't look to destroy individuals. Don't look to defame them. Don't look to bring them down, because that is not our remit. Our remit is to help people. Our remit is to edify people, and to be absolutely, Rabbi Kefa, to be a helper, not a hinderer. So my suggestion based on that is that a lot of these books written on the law of attraction have a lot of bad statements. A lot of the times they have bad statements because they're just misleading. They're not true. So let's come back to the relationship one that Eddie asked. Eddie said that, how do we word relationship statements, because these are ones that if you're not married, then of course, how do you word a marriage statement that will help you? And I think that's a good question to ask, and it's one that you should all, if you're not married, if you're single, you should all look at. Let me read out something to you from the Bible, which might be helpful. In Proverbs chapter 31, verses 10, it says, "A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life." That's Proverbs 31, Mishle 31, verses 10 to 12. Now that, by the way, is a statement in itself. Now, this is not talking about a particular person. This is a statement of the Bible saying this is how a woman is and this is how a husband is. That's a statement. So how do we formulate a statement using that within our character? So it speaks about a noble character of a woman. It speaks about her worthiness. It speaks about her husband's confidence in her, and it speaks about what the husband does to her. So look at this. This is only 2 lines of text. Now let me make you a statement out of 2 lines of text. You could have a statement to the effect of, and you can all experiment and make it better for yourselves. Instead of having a statement that says, you could have a statement, "I found a beautiful wife. Oh, she loves me. Oh, she's great. Oh, she's wonderful. She's very truthful. She's very this and she's very that." You could write up your 10 lines, and you could be reading it all day long. And you're going to be like, what the heck, where does this stop? So, or you could have 2 lines succinctly put, and it covers everything. So you could have a statement in such a words, "I am in an incredible, beautifully loving relationship with my wife of great character." That's one statement. Okay? Again, let me repeat it. "I am having an incredible, beautiful relationship with my wife who is of, you could say, noble character, just as the Bible says. You could say of noble character, who loves me, and our relationship grows day by day." That's a 1-line text, by the way. You may have to back the recording to listen what I just said. So again, something similar to that effect, and you can again experiment and you can make it better for yourselves. So those of you who are looking for a wife, now a student of mine in the East who's not married, I recorded a statement for him. I said, what kind of wife, what kind of children, what kind of this, what kind of that. So I said, okay, let me make it simple. And I said, it's very simple. I'm enjoying a loving relationship with my wife. We have a wonderful relationship together. We have 2 children together. Our relationship is building day by day. We love each other. Okay? That's a simple statement. So I recorded a simple statement for my student, and I said, now translate it into your language. So I translated it into his language best I could. I said you can translate it better if you want, and then you can, make a statement out of that. That's the statement you need to run with every day. So this is why, as I was saying, that it is important that for you can formulate your statements. I would say make one sheet of paper that maybe you can have it a little bit wordy in that, if you like, because you may be beginning and you may fill up reams and reams of paper, and then in the second sheet of paper you can have it succinctly. So to give you an example, as I did earlier, I remember, because I call that shorter affirmations. They are shorter affirmations versus longer affirmations. So a shorter affirmation would be like, with your wife, whoever your wife is or husband is, you were saying, I'm enjoying a wonderful, happy, joyous relationship with such and such. That's a short affirmation. That covers everything. It covers, you might say, well, what about obedience? What about honesty? What about truth? See, those things are incorporated. When you're using the word wonderful, happy, joyous, those things automatically incorporate other things within it. Because you're not going to have a wonderful relationship with a woman who lies to you all the time. You're going to have a wonderful relationship with a man who lies all the time. So try to keep it to the point, and if you want, your affirmations should not be more than 2 lines long. But yes, you can make your statement more than 2 lines. That's what I call the wordy one. And you can keep that wordy one for your reference. Maybe you read the wordy one in the morning, maybe you read the shorter one in the rest of the daytime. So it can work like that. Eddie, you're saying that is describing the thing we desire as of my dreams useful, like wife of my dreams, or job of my dreams effective? Yes, you can do that, but I suggest not to. Because what may be one person's dream will be another person's nightmare, by the way. So I don't use words like that in my affirmations. They are a little misleading, because what is my dreams mean? You see, I have to always ask a question, what does my dreams mean? It means different things to different people. So I wouldn't use words like that, which are what's a job of my dreams? Well, again, right, see, this is where things get a little complicated. So this is where I always suggest that you keep it simple. I am enjoying, or I am in an incredible, loving, joyous relationship. That to me is much better than saying wife of my dreams. Because I would say I am enjoying an incredible, passionate, loving relationship with my wife. I think that is a much better affirmation than saying, oh, I have the wife of my dreams. Well, what does it mean, wife of my dreams? Well, maybe I'm having nightmares at night. Maybe I'm having nightmares at night, and do I want my wife from nightmares? No, of course not. So it's actually misleading. A lot of law of attraction teachers out there, they teach you this. You want your dream job, your dream car. Forget all that nonsense. Stick to the basics. Basics work. I have already applied it. It already has worked for me, and it will work for you as well. Years ago, when I didn't even have all the information, I just put down 1 line of text, and that was it. I just stuck to that 1 line of text. I didn't have more than 1 line. On my doorpost, boom, I put 1 line of text. 10 goes, boom, on my door every year, and I just stick to 1 line of text. And my 1 line of text was simply, I put down a car. I put down I have such and such car. That's it. And I put no more than that. And then I just stuck to that. And so this is why today it is better to just put down that I'm enjoying driving my new car with all the perks, if you want to call it, or all the features that I desire. I'm enjoying my new car with all the features I desire. Boom, stop. Nice and sweet, short, to the point. You don't need to say anything else. Now that new car can be whatever new car you desire to have. And if you might put luxury before it, it could be a luxury car of any description, or it could be a Ford out there. Then it leaves it to your imagination, what you want. So the universe has to work with what you're asking. But if you start saying things like, I'm driving my new car, it has a CD player, it has a DVD player, it has 7-spoke wheels, it has leather trim, it has AC, and it has pollen filters, and I don't know. You could start, it could start getting silly. And when it starts to get silly, then what happens is it doesn't help your manifestation process. It's long-winded. Now, you may want to add things into your... This is why I always suggest that if you really wanted a long-winded one, then have 2 versions. One long-winded, one short and sweet. So, you can do your long-winded in the morning when you have more time, maybe before you go to work, or maybe in the evening, but you do your shorter one other times. And you focus on your shorter one. That's what will bring it to pass quicker. Now, always, the way to bring a manifestation is to introduce a phone call. Always. That is the trick to everything to make it work. A phone call will work magic. Introduce a phone call in your imagination with a friend. Like if you were wanting to have a car and you put out your little affirmation for your car, then you have a friend phoning you and saying to you, congratulations, Eddie, for your congratulations, Eddie, you have a beautiful car. And you say, yes, thank you, it is beautiful, I love driving it. So you're saying that in imagination, Eddie, so that way you are going to make that manifestation powerful, and you're going to make your little affirmation very powerful as well, by just that one introduction of a phone call. Because a lot of the time, when people have never driven a luxury car, they don't know what it means to drive a luxury car. If you've never driven one, if you were like me in the old days, and you drove a little, beat up Nissan Sunny, it's like 15 years old, like a hoopty, and you'll be driving that, and you'll be like, hey, like top of the world, I'm driving a little hoopty. So then you don't know what it's like to drive a BMW. What do you know? You never driven one, right? Guess what I put down on my affirmation at that time? I put down I am the owner of a BMW. Boom, done. I was like, I own a black BMW. I own a black BMW. I put that down, and I kind of smiled to myself, and I said to myself, is this really possible? And I said, yes, it's possible, and I'm going to have it. And I continue to focus on that black BMW. Me and my black BMW. They came after my many years of toil and labor. I'm talking about years of toil and labor, not months and weeks, years of toil and labor. One day I went to a garage and I bought a black BMW, and I was sitting in it proudly, just as I've seen myself in my vision. That's the difference of persistence. So now I could do the same thing a lot quicker, because I have a lot more tools at my behest. In those days, I didn't know any of the tools. I just going by my gut feeling. So gut feeling was it. I was going by my gut, and I needed to do that, and I thought, I don't care what the people say, I'm going to have my black BMW. And first I had my little hoopty, Nissan Sunny coupe, and then I had my black BMW. Now think of the difference. I never knew what it was like to be a black BMW driver. It's totally different experience. Totally different. There was no way I could have worded that statement, because I wouldn't know how. Until I drove the black BMW. And guess what I did after I drove the black BMW? I said, I'm now going to own my Mercedes. Mercedes came next, by the way. Now I had a feel of a luxury car. Now I know what it's like to drive a luxury car. And guess, the Mercedes came like this, boom, fast. Within 2 years I had a Mercedes. So once you know how, you'll get your next car a lot quicker. So this is why I say, be nice, short and sweet, to the point, and visualize nicely. And one thing I'm going to tell you that is so critical to your success. If you do not do this, you will not be successful. In fact, you will be very unsuccessful if you don't do this. And I have found people doing this all the time, and they never get there. And until they're corrected. When you wake up in the morning, that is the time of doing your visualization. Now what happens is, this is what happens with some people. They wake up, They switch the light on, they go to the bathroom, boom, game over. You already missed the boat, my friend. What you're supposed to do is leave the light off. Get up off your bed. Don't get out of your bed, stay there. Close your eyes, do your grounding. Now do your visualization straight through, without looking at anything. Straight away start doing your visualization while you're in half asleep, half awake mode. That is what we call alpha state. You're already in alpha state. That is the best time for your manifestation technique. You do your visualization there and then. You do your 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You do that, I can guarantee you that is like doing 2 hours of visualization later in the day. It is not as effective because you're in beta mode. Beta mode, forget it. It won't work. You're wasting your time in beta mode. But when you're in alpha state, you're like half asleep, half awake. Your brain is primed at that time in the morning. And you can then, this is why I keep saying, write your script in the morning. Straight off, you get off your bed, you switch your light on, you go to your bathroom, you do your little dance, you know, how great you are and wonderful you are. You do that little dance and you come back, you have your breakfast, maybe you do your little coffee or tea, and you sit down, you start writing your script. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, done. Now you can close and get ready for work, and you go to your job. Job done. Now, what if you do the other way? You switch your light on, you wake up, alarm goes off, ding, 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 ding. What the heck? The alarm's going, I've got to go to work. You get up, you know, you switch your light on, you go to your bathroom, game over. You didn't do your grounding, you didn't do your visualization, you're already out of alpha state. Now you suddenly come into beta, so you go and wash your face, you're in beta state. Game over. A lot of you are making this mistake already. I can guarantee you making this mistake. Because I spoke to some people and I had to reprimand them personally. You know, they didn't like that. I said, stop doing this. Oh, I have to go to the toilet, I'm peeing and all this. I said, hold your bloody pee. Hold it. Hold it for 20 minutes. You're not going to pee on your bed. So you have to learn to do that. That is the best time for manifestation. And then in the evening, when you go to bed, the next best time is when you go to bed in the evening and you're about to fall asleep and you put yourself in a alpha state again. You're going to find that you're going to remember about 2, maybe 1 to 2 of your goals, and you're going to fall asleep. Boom. But it's going to imprint on your mind that time of night, whatever desire that you take with you. The morning time and the evening time, the best times to do your visualization. In the middle, yes, you can try it, but that'll be beta time, not as effective. You can try it. I'm not saying don't do it. You can do it, but it's not going to be as good. It's going to be less effective. The better thing to do in the middle of the day is to read your affirmation. That's the better thing to do, in my opinion. This is I'm giving you first-hand experience of what I have done and what I've experienced. And Rabbi Kefa will probably tell you that too, but I'm telling you today some real inside secrets. These are inside secrets of success, that you have to do it this way. Now, of course, you know, part and parcel of this is also that when you're coming into abundance, into money, you must learn to give money out. Your tithe, your tzedakah, they will propel you forward, push you forward into success, because you will give and you will receive back. You will give and you will receive back. It'll keep attracting to you. That is called the energy of money. It rolls. It rolls in a circle. But when you don't give and you struggle and you're focusing on, well, how do I give? I'm struggling. How do I give? You say, how do I give? I'm struggling. I'm going to pay my bill. Should I pay my bill? Should I give? So then what you have to do, you have to first bring yourself to a state of thank you, thank you, thank you, the Master of the Universe, or thank you, Universe, I'm able to pay my bills. Thank you, I'm able to pay my bills. So you start with tzedakah. If you cannot start with the 10%, you start with 1%, 2%, 3%, you slowly build up. Even if it means paying dollars tzedakah, you know, if you're really on hard line, you know, low income, you pay $1. and then you start with that, and you when that starts circulating, the energy starts circulating, then you give thanks. When you give $1, you give thanks. You say, thank you, thank you, thank you, universe, that I'm able to pay $1. Great, I can pay my bills. Wonderful. Then you start building up from there. $1 will turn into $5, will 10, 15, 30, 100, 200, 500. You'll see how your life changed. I was reading the book of the man who said from homeless to a billionaire. This guy called Andreas Peer, homeless to a billionaire. He mentioned one thing. He said that by giving more, I was receiving more. So be a giver. He said that's the secret of being successful and rich. He said, so be a giver. And the scripture speaks about, the Bible speaks about being a cheerful giver. But the Bible also literally tells you to give tithes and zadaqah. And we have numerous examples in the Bible that the ancient people did that, and why they did that, and how the blessings were turning around back into their life. Because it's all down to how you happily give it, happily it comes back. It's an energy circle. Money is energy. It comes back to you. As you circulate it, it will circulate back to you. If you don't circulate energy, if you don't circulate, oh, my bills, oh, this, oh, that, then you're living in negativity. Your negativity will affect you, and your negativity will not let you move forward. So be careful about negativity, because that definitely is a lack mentality. Lack mentality will bring lack into your life. You'll be saying, why am I struggling? Why am I struggling to pay my bills every month? Because it'll be that lack. Because deep down you're following a lack mentality. Never ever say the words I am and then a negative word, because it will affect you negatively. I've had this conversation with certain people that have a bad habit of doing that. So don't ever do that, even in conversations. Even in conversations, don't say, I cannot do something, and that's a negative, by the way. Don't ever do that, because it will affect you literally negatively in your real life. Always be affirmative, positive. I can do this. I am able to do this. I am wealthy. I am riches. Now you need to go put these things onto your bathroom window, onto your fridge, onto your cupboards, onto your room, wherever you whichever place you go to and you visit, so you can see it and you can look at it and you can read it. I am wealthy. I am riches. I am abundance. These things you will put on your bathroom window, your fridge window. Every time you go to open your fridge, you read the statement, I am abundance. Boom, fridge open. You go to your bathroom in the morning, I am abundance. You read it on the mirror. I am riches. Read it on the mirror. And you speak to yourself. You tell yourself that. See, this is conditioning yourself. You're now conditioning yourself. And you must be very careful not to, otherwise condition yourself wrongly. So I would suggest, please, be careful. With that, I'm going to pass the mic on to Rabbi Kefa. Any questions we'll take at the end. Todah for listening. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom.
Okay, Todah HaKohim, Hashem, and thank you. It is truly wonderful to have the opportunity to be here in this forum. Yeah, to double that Hebrew 10. If I can be heard, can I get a one? I want to get a quick mic check. Allez-vous, Vive la France. D-Day celebrations were totally great. I really like to, I really appreciate and show gratitude to those that have, done great things for society and humanity. Got to see your president there in France in action with the President of America and many other leaders of the world. For those of you who have honored and given, or have family members that have, given their lives on this earth for, the betterment of humanity, I give thanks and gratitude, and I show my appreciation and gratitude towards you. Any of you that have any kind of military background or have served your countries in any kind of way, I also give gratitude to you as well, and say thank you for your service. And those of you that are in service to the Most Highest, those of you that are in service, I give gratitude and thanks for you as well, for being in service for the awesome tribes of Israel and being in service to creator of the heavens and the universes, Baruch Hashem, to the God of Israel, and being a servant to the laws of Moshe, the laws of Moses. That's what's important. Who cares about all these other rabbis? It's the laws of Moses that we follow. It's the laws of Moses that we live our lives by, and that we truly are a testament to, the one source, the source energy, source power, the divine presence, the God of Israel, Yahweh, Elohim, Adonai, whatever name or title, God, whatever Lord, whatever name or title you want on it. But at the end of the day, everything goes back to source. How many of you understand that? At the end of the day, no matter how you dress it up, no matter what color Crayola you put on it, at the end of the day, everything goes back to source. Everything on the face of this earth goes back to source. Put it like that, and you'll be politically correct with everybody around you. Because my thing is my desire is not to offend anyone. I don't want to offend you. I don't want to offend you or shame you or put you down. This is Torah 101 here. We're not to offend anyone. And, to do that, you have to be very, very careful on how you present things to individuals. Because how many of you know, a lot of humanity has a lot of sensitivities. And you don't know the sensitivities of the next individual next to you, much less the one that you've been living with, for 18 years. There are a lot of sensitivities they have up there, so you have to be very careful on how you communicate and associate with humanity, because at the end of the day, all of you as students of the Torah, you're also students of humanity, students of human nature. You must understand that. It's very, very important. So that I know the Chinese have this big thing about saving face. How many of you know what that means? They believe in that saving face mentality. Is that they don't want to do anything to disrupt the family, because they want the family to. They want to save the family's face. They want to have the face of the family to be good. You heard it with our queen. He talked about it even in our history, in our culture. The showbread is called what? The bread of what? Faces. Of faces. So it's important that we present the proper kind of face. We want to bring forth positivity. We want to bring forth ingenuity. We want to bring forth an environment of love and of peace and of joy. This kind of face. We don't want to put on a bad face and represent, meaning the representation of the family going forward. You want it to be in a positive frequency, positive vibration, positive energy that is emulating from you. And I think that's very, very important. So I truly, happily and humbly say thank you to all of you that have served or that are in service now. We're all in service in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I know you all don't have the mentality of being a chief and not an Indian. So with that being said, I'd like to bring this question forward to you today. Do you, and I'd like your response on this. Do you, or you can reply in any kind of way you deem necessary. Consider yourself or a follower. That's the question I bring to you today. Do you consider yourself a leader or a follower? And you may want to think about it for a minute, but truly, dig within yourself, go into your inner self, and come with that right kind of response, not just off of the mind, mumbo jumbo, but look within yourself and examine yourself and really ask yourself this question. Do you consider yourself a leader or a follower? Okay, Chadasha with that Serenity. Serenity says, I'm a leader. I am a leader. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, that's what's going down. I am a leader. Anybody else? I know you're probably thinking about it, because this is a question. This is really a question. This is not none of that mumbo jumbo questions that you just shoot off the cuff, but this is coming from some depth, coming from the depths here. Do you consider yourself a leader or a follower? And so take your time. There's no rush there. There's no rush here, but I would like some response from you in these early days, early mornings, well, depending on where you are in the world, could be later. And here's another question that I have for you. Are there any Sowers in the house? Torah says I'm a follower. Are there any sowers in the house? And I don't mean your ancient sewing. My grandmother has this old ancient Singer sewing machine that you move with you move with your feet, and then you can do some sewing. I don't mean that kind of sewing. I'm into that sewing as well. But are there any sowers in the house? Any sowers? Anybody right now trying to sew something? It could be anything. I mean, any sowers? Okay, if I said I'm a sower, any other sowers in the house? Any sowers? It could be anything. Excuse me. Oliver says, I'm a sower. Stop for that, Oliver. Any other sowers in the house? I know who's the one, Eddie's. Who's the one looking for a relationship? You're definitely trying to sow something. You're trying to sow a relationship. Tara says, Delia says, I'm a sower. Any other takers? Any sowers in the house? Any sowers? That's why I leave, because I sow every day. That's great. Any sowers in the house? Any other sowers? You're trying to sow. You're sowing a relationship. You're sowing wealth. You're sowing abundance your way. You're sowing health your way. You're sowing a wholeness your way. Any sowers? Everybody in this room should be trying to sow something. If you're not, then you may want to go back and reassess your situation. You should all be trying to sow something right now. Sowing. Simo says, a leader. Always, I do share good information to help for good always. A sower, a leader. To top of that, Simha and Shabbat Shalom to you over there in California there on the West Coast. Any other takers on am I a leader or a follower? All of us should be sowers, though. We should all be trying to sow something. Right now, you're trying. If you're not sowing, then what are you doing? If you're not trying to sow, how do you expect to reap? Think about that for a minute. So, some of you trying to sow good relationships. Some of you trying to sow more income, more wealth, more prosperity in your life. Some of you trying to sow proper health and well-being. Some of you are sowing employment, better employment for yourselves. All of you right now are sowers. Don't just look at it as, okay, well, Rabbi, I don't have a farm, and I'm not planting anything, and I'm not a farmer, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night. No, I'm not talking. You can take this and you can apply it to any area of your life. You can sow into money. Because how many of you know money does grow on trees, as I told you. And that's so very true. Money does grow on trees. So you have to learn how to sow. You have to. So here's the next question for you sowers, you sowing enthusiasts. Here's the next question, and we're going to get into our parsha in a minute, and even into some of the words of the Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus of Nazareth, and get in depth here, because I think it's very important that we understand the concept of sowing and reaping. More importantly, the sowing side. Because if you don't sow right, what'll happen? You're reaping. There'll be no reaping. So we don't even have to discuss reaping right now. But we have to understand the format of proper sowing. And, where do we get it from? And then, during Hakoi's lecture, it brought back to mind one of the very most important things that you need to understand in your life and teach to your children, your children's children going forward. This statement, who do you listen to? Or the question, who do you listen to? Because, that right there, who do you listen to? And the Master Yeshua, believe it or not, was saying that same statement as well. We'll read it in a minute. But he said that same statement over and over again in his teachings. As he taught the multitude. As he gave parables. Who do you listen to? Anybody know the phrase that the Master would always say that is exactly spot on to who do you listen to? Can anybody have a clue what the Master Yeshua would say? What the Master Jesus of Nazareth would say at the end of his lectures, at the end of his parables? He'd say it time and time again. Anybody have a clue besides the Kohen? Because I know he knows. But does anybody else have a clue? And what did the Master Yeshua say that's parallel or just similar to who do you listen to? Who do you listen to? Anybody want to take a shot at it? No wrong answer. Anybody want to take a shot at it? We're family here. Don't be shy. I'll give you the statement. He that has ears, let him hear. Do you get it? That's the same thing as who do you listen to? He that has ears, let him hear. Who do you listen to? Do you see the correlation? It's the same thing. They just changed up the words for modern times. But he that has ears, let him hear. Have you ever read the Master Yeshua saying those words? Especially if you go back and you examine it after parables, he says it time and time again. He didn't just say it because it sounds good. There's a lot of meaning in that. Who do you listen to is very important. Who do you listen to? So, again, let me reiterate. Are there any sowers in the house? If you're a sower, put up a capital S. Maybe that's more easier. And back to the question at hand is, are you a leader or are you a follower? Do you consider yourself a leader or do you consider yourself a follower? Stop with your responses, by the way. I'm so happy and so grateful to see that you guys are still up and you didn't get in Shabbat mode. Are you a follower or a leader? Yes, stop for your responses on that as well. Hey, by the way, can anybody tell me what are the great, in your leadership capacity, what are some of the great characteristics that make a great leader? Can anybody tell me? What are some of the great characteristics that makes a great leader? And can anybody give me, and from your experience, because all of you, you're saying you're leaders, so from your experience, okay, Eddie says patience. They take responsibility. To God with that, Jacob ben Yahudah, appreciate that. Anybody else? From your experience now, just based on your experience, you have to be humble from Hebrew 100, to God with that Hebrew 100. Anybody else? Because I want to get from your experience. Okay, you have to be a good leader. To top of that, good listener. Eddie's and Oliver are telling me you have to be a good listener. That's awesome. To be a good leader. Any other takers on that? Any other takers? Humble. You guys are naming out some great characteristics. So for those that are listening via MP3, I'm repeating them for you guys listening on YouTube. You've got to kind of pick up on these things. And you kind of decide, well, what classification am I in? Am I a leader or am I a follower? To top of that, Shane Yah said you have to be strong. You can't be walking around here like Steve Urkel. Yeah, you have to be strong. Mentally, physically strong. You have to be able to do that, absolutely. Daniel, a.k.a. Torah Walker, says, leading by example, actions and deeds. That's so very important. So very important. Abu says, lead by example. Oh, indeed. Indeed. So, for the awesome tribes of Israel, by default, that makes us all what? Leaders. Am I correct? Because we lead by our example. That's how we let our light shine. This is one of the major characteristics of the awesome tribes of Israel, is that they don't say too much, but their actions speak. You see? And people are attracted to you because of your actions. Oh, you were so nice to me. I really appreciate it. Oh, hey, you don't even know me from Adam, but you're giving me tea? Oh, I appreciate that. You're a good person. Oh, but you didn't have to do that. I'm shocked that you're doing this for me right now. What? You're going to buy my lunch for me today? Oh, wow. That's awesome. I've never had nobody do that for me. So do you see? You're right. Leading by example is key. Thus requiring action. But I want to mention something today because I consider myself a leader as well. You know one of the greatest characteristics of being a leader, in my opinion, from my experience, I'll tell you this. A great leader is an awesome follower. Did you get that one? He that has ears, let him hear. A great leader is an awesome follower. You see? So really to be a great leader, you have to be, second to none when it comes to following. Do you get it? Are you with me, Ms. Bahar? I hope you're with me this day. This is so very important to understand. Some folks are great leaders, but they're too humble to mention it. But they're great leaders. Why? Because they're too busy trying to follow. And then that following is piggybacked onto what? Who do you listen to? You see? Some of the greatest successful people in this world, if you want to measure success by money, if you want to measure success by fame, if you want to measure success by happiness or joy, is because these people followed somebody. Am I correct? I mean, think about it for a minute. Remind me of that game, Follow the Leader. It should be Leader the Follower. Think about it for a minute. Leader the follower. Not follow the leader, leader the follower, because then the follower, the great follower is going to be the awesome leader. A great leader is going to be the awesome follower. Think about that for a minute. But then it all goes back into who do you listen to? What are you following? See, that's the next question. You see? Now, when we look at the Numbers here, and then we see in Numbers in this parsha, as we open up the book of Numbers, WeDavar, we open up the book, our history book here, and we begin to see let's just put it this way. We begin to see the formation of the tribes. Based on what? Based on the tent being in the middle, and there was an order for formation, right? Or let me put it in another modern day term. There was a grouping going on. You want to understand that, right? Can anybody explain to me the groupings? Can anybody just off the cuff give me some, who was grouped with who? Tribal grouping. We're talking about the awesome tribes of Israel now, and how they were grouped together. Now, I want you to know one thing in our history, is that not a single tribe was grouped off to an island to themselves. Do you see that? Not one single tribe was put off and say, okay, you're going to be grouped outside of it. See, this is what I want you to understand this day, is that grouping is very important. How many groups were on each side of the tent? Can anybody tell me? You Torah students? How many groups were on each side of the tent of meetings? Anybody tell me that? Just right off the top, right off the cuff. How many? There you go, 3. That number 3, that's one of my favorite numbers. Hakohen, he likes the number 30. He likes the number 30 in our business dealings that we're into. Some of our business dealings. That number 3 is an awesome number. It's grouping. Grouping. I want you to pay close attention. There's a deep understanding that we can always delve from our books. We just got to dig to get deeper, right? Can you get deeper without digging? I mean, yeah, that's probably a ridiculous question. But it's one that needs to be asked, because a lot of people think that they can get deeper without digging. To top of your responses, by the way. So the awesome tribes of Israel, when it comes to the central point, which was the tent of meetings, right? The tent of appointed times, was grouped in groups of 3. And this is a statement that I want to make this day, and it's so very important, even today in 2019, is that be careful who you group yourself with. Be careful who you group yourself with. Do you all know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about like associations. I'm talking about who you literally connect and group yourself with. How many of you understand that who you group yourself with today can have an effect on your life? Literally. It can literally affect your life based on who you group yourself with, who you associate with. And you may think, oh no, Rabbi, that's just innocent, this, that, the other, third. But before you know it, you find yourself, your energy is being zapped from you. And you wonder why, or you wonder why you have no energy. You have your vibration level, your amplification level, all of a sudden, is like at 0 or in the red. And you're like, wow, why am I being zapped of my energy? Well, you may want to consider, who are you grouping yourself with? Israel had certain affiliations with grouping, and I'm telling you today, it's a spiritual thing as more as it is a physical thing as well, because even today I see that grouping of Israel in the nations still intact. Now I understand why I have such a deep affection and connection to the Levites. Because Judah, look at the chart. Judah is grouped with the Levites. And with Benjamin. Because last time I checked, there's some Benjamin here in not San Antonio, but in Texas. And we're connected as well. It's grouping. That grouping, boy, we can get in depth. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of understanding in the grouping part of things. And even in our exile, we still see that the grouping is very strong. So what I would say to you this day is be careful who you group yourself with. Be careful who you associate. I'm not telling you to go hide in some crate somewhere, put yourself in some treasure chest and lock yourself up. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be careful who you associate with. How many of you can count the number of friends that you have on more than 2 hands? How many of you can count the number of friends? You have 10 plus friends. How many of you right now can say, Rabbi, I have 10 plus friends right now that I can, these are my go-to list. I have more than 10 friends. Anybody? Anybody in this room? You can say, Rabbi, I do have more than 10 friends. I can truthfully say, honestly say, yes, as I did my calculations, yes, I do have more than 10 friends. No response, by the way, for you who are listening via YouTube. Hebrew 100 says 10 friends. 2 friends. Not saying that you can't have a lot of friends, but what I want to caution you this day of is to be careful who you group yourself with. And I tell you what, you'd be surprised. Even with the friends that you do have, they may not have the same affiliation. They may not have the same beliefs in Abraham that you have, but they have that particular energy that groups you to them. That energy that attracts you to them, and you can feed off of their energy. And you all have the same kind of, let's just say, vibration and frequency. Because these things are very important in your sowing. You got to be on the right frequency to sow. How many of you understand that? You got to be on the right frequency to sow exactly what you want to reap. And there may be different frequencies involved. And I want you all to understand and be of good cheer. You hear all of these great testimonies that are coming in. I'm so happy and grateful for everyone who are meeting their mark and not missing their Baruch Hashem. I give thanks and thank you to the universes for all of you that are seeing your desires and your dreams. You're seeing them manifested. You're seeing them brought forth and attracted to your life. And that's super great. Don't stop. Don't give up. For those of you who haven't seen them yet, don't give up. Like I told you, it took 3 months for me, grounding my father. His wife passed and he just kind of gave up on life. But now he's coming back. He realizes that he has to get out of that house that he had with his wife that has passed. He has to get out. He's like, Father's Day is coming up. And also his birthday's coming up on the 27th of this month as well. So I told him, we're going to go see you. We're going to go spend some time with you there in Houston for your birthday. Make you a party. Maybe throw you a barbecue. Give you a good party. Say, what do you want to do, Pop? What do you want to do? Unexpectedly, I heard him say, you know what? I want to get out of this house. I thought I'd never hear him say that. My brother was telling me, he doesn't want to leave the house. He doesn't want to get out. Well, you see what grounding does? Never give up. I never gave up for my father. I ground him every morning, like I said, religiously. And a lot of you know something about doing stuff religiously because you were doing it as a Catholic. You were doing it as a Christian. Some of you never missed Sunday church because you did it religiously. That was part of your conditioning. So why now, this is one of the good things about religion. See, everybody wants to point at the bad things. But what religion does teach you is to do things repetitively. It may teach you to do things the wrong way. See, you can always pull something good out of any bad that you look at. But too many times we only focus on the bad. I'm so happy and grateful that I went through catechism. Was an altar boy. That taught me discipline. As a little boy. and then come out of catechism, went into, you know, the non-denominational scene, and, you know, non-denominational churches and all this, that, the other, dinked and dunked and dunked and dinged. During that process, I had a high appreciation for water. Because I got dinked and dunked a lot. But no, yeah. So again, you can find some good in every one of your situations. Every one of your experiences. Now, there's a lecture that's marinating right now. We're going to talk about, you know, forgiveness as we're coming up on another high holy festival of one of our high holy days, Yom Kippur. But Yom Kippurim, you know. But again, you know, we have to look at these. We have to, you know, we have to begin to. Let me put it in the most politically correct way that I can put it. We have to begin to really look at ourselves as ourselves. What you really must understand is that your life is not based on what happens outside of you. Life should be, let's just say, emitting from you. You should live life. Life should be lived through you, not what's based on what's around you. But we've been conditioned and told that no. My life is what is made from what's around me. Like my surroundings. Let me give you an example. People will tell you, oh man, you know, people of color here in America, oh, I'm never going to be nothing because of the man. The man has kept me down. You know, slavery has kept me down. I'm like, are you kidding me? See, these are things that are outside of them. And they say, well, man, you know, I can't do anything until I get my reparations from Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam owes me 40 acres and a mule. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Number one, you don't get 40 acres and a mule. You wouldn't know what to do with that today. You don't even know how to ride a mule, much less take care of a mule. I mean, what is 40 acres and a mule going to do for you? Not going to do anything. But people think they cannot live life until things that are outside of themselves are fixed in a certain way and lined up in a certain way. And so many things are given to them. When here's the biggest revelation that's out there today. Everything that they need is already within them. When they begin to look within them, that's when life starts within. Believe me, I know that from a physical, from a physical way of things as well. Is that when a woman is pregnant, the baby don't start without. It doesn't start coming in the Amazon box. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for Amazon. But you don't get a baby being dropped from a store, right? The baby starts within the womb, within the woman. Am I correct? Life starts within, not without. So your life now starts within you. It comes from within you, and you need to understand that. Quit looking at axillary conditions to get right before you can begin to live any kind of form of a life. Then you sell yourself short, and you'll end up missing your mark. Because the life on the axillary side of things, on the outside of you, will never line up the way you want to. So you spend your whole life trying to wait for those quote-unquote perfect conditions, when the perfect conditions are already within inside of you. They're inside of you. You have the perfect conditions in you. Wow, that's good stuff, isn't it, Mishpah? This is good stuff, but it's so true. But people don't teach you this stuff. They don't teach you that you are, God is within you. You don't have to look without. The ability to manifest miracles is within you. You don't have to go to a building for a miracle. You don't have to go buy this prayer cloth for a miracle. The miracle is already within you. And the minute you begin to understand that, my goodness, sowing. You all are sowing something right now. Some of you are trying to sow a relationship on whatever kind of level. Some of you are sowing employment. Some of you are sowing riches, abundance, wealth, health, prosperity, love. You all are trying to sow something right now. Some of you want to sow a house, a car. You all are sowers. But you must understand one thing. Sowing. Is that sowing starts within. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But remember we were talking about leaders and followers? That's what I'm talking about. Because, you know, at the beginning of the book of Numbers here, it begins to explain the leadership. And it goes through and it honors all those men that were in high standing, the leaders of their camps, the leaders of the family, of the families. And I just want to focus on Judah because I'm Judah. I just want to give a shout out to Judah in this particular portion of the parsha in our books. Because we read there in Numbers chapter 1 verse 4, and with you there shall be a man of every tribe, everyone, head of his faith, head of his house, of his abode, of his fathers. The head, the leader, the head. Why is the word head used there? The head. I told you many times here before. I tell you, when men begin to step up and really use their right head, they begin to use that head in the north, things can happen. Why is it the head? The head of their faith, the head of their house, of their avot, of their father. Great men, the leaders, well-standing and good standing. Looked up to, because you see, at the end of the day, just like all of you responded, leaders are looked up to, as you all said it yourself. You said you lead by example, because folks are looking at you, right? Folks look at you. You consider yourself a leader, you get critiqued. You don't believe me? Just ask President Trump. He's the leader of the free world. And he's critiqued every day. Good and bad, right? You see it. I like to call him Twitter in chief. Because he loves to get on Twitter. And he lets you on the inside, you see. He lets you on the, this is what I find so unique about our president. I mean, Oliver, does your president over there, what's his name, Macron? I don't want to get his name wrong. But does he tweet? Does he tweet? Does he get on, is he a Twitter in chief? Any of you in any other countries? Does your leader, does he tweet? I mean, but listen, I just what's so great and unique about President Trump is he lets you on the inside, he lets you know what he's thinking. Let me give you my thoughts. The head of your families. He's giving you what's coming out of his head. And you see, this is what's important for us to understand, is we have to get our head right if you're going to be a good leader. That means you cannot be in mind control. Cannot be being controlled by mind. That's going to affect your sowing. You see, because what I want today in my lecture is I want us to get to the root. I want to, let's quit beating around the bush. Let's get to the root of the matter. The root cause, the root source. Because at the end of the day, like I was discussing earlier, at the end of the day, regardless of what religion you're into, you're going back to the root. You're going back to the source. You just need to be taking some detours and following some crooked signs that are just detouring you from source. But your goal is to get to source. Every religion out there is trying to do it. Get to source. They just have a roundabout. They just have some of them a convoluted way. They have different ways about getting to source. We must get to the root of the matter. Now, how many of you know when you sow? We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. But let's go back to leadership. Let's go back to the head. Because all of you are leaders. You're Israel. You're the awesome tribes of Israel. You're the leaders of the free world. You're the leaders of this world. You see, because you are here to free the world. What are you trying to free the world of? Those head games. As the heads of your tribes, as the heads of awesome tribes of Israel, that's where the majority of the work needs to be done for the rest of humanity. Guess where? Can anybody take a guess? And take a gander? Yes, it's in the head. How many of you were hoodwinked and bamboozled in your head at one time or another? Yeah, I can say I was. Head games, these mind games, mind control, all of this stuff happens where? In the head, not in the heart, in the head. Note that our books don't say, well, I want you to pick the leaders, the heart of the leaders of the tribes of Israel, the awesome tribes of Israel. I want you to take the heart of them. No, it says take the head of them. The head. Because with the head, that's where what are made. That's where the decisions are made. Heart does play a role in there. But everything is processed through the head. Knowledge, baby. Everybody wants it, right? Knowledge. Head. Well, what were you thinking? Well, I really wasn't thinking. Thinking. That's happening in the head. You don't hear most people saying, well, you do hear this statement. How many of you heard this statement before? Well, I was just following my heart. I followed my heart. How many of you heard that statement before? How many of you have done that before? Well, I follow my heart. But you see, it's important that we utilize our head. We got to utilize that brain. Some people call it the noodle. I heard that say this week. Yeah, you need to use your noodle. I was like, wow, what is the noodle? I'm thinking, me, coming from the Eastern mindset, I'm like, noodle? My wife cooking noodle. You talking about Chinese noodle? What are you talking about? Use your noodle. But they associate the noodle with the brain. You see, so you must use your brain for what it's meant to be used for. That great, super, awesome mind of yours to help manifest whatever you desire. Not let the mind be totally in control over you and tell you what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and when you're going to feel this emotion, that emotion, and the other, and the third. But to help have your mind, use your mind, use your brain to help facilitate your conscious state. So your subconscious and your consciousness can work in your mind. You see, because now we're doing a lot of renovations right now. We're cleaning out all of that conditioning. So conscious can dwell in the mind. And the mind can connect with your consciousness through your subconscious. These things are so, it's a connection. It's like the trifecta. That's just how it works. But there has been a break and a breach to where we had a disconnect from the subconscious, much less the consciousness, because we were all just walking around here like, unconscious folks, just being dictated by our mind and our emotions. But when we get into the subconscious, we can begin to use our imagination. And then we can begin to use our mind to help facilitate and manifest and attract those things that we desire. Because our mind becomes our ally and not our enemy, you see? And then we can take appropriate action. I tell you, all this is such a beautiful, beautiful sheet of music when it's played right. You understand what I'm saying? When it's played right and when you fully begin to understand, okay, what pieces are used where? And how do I use this piece? You see, a lot of sowing is not seeing any kind of manifestation or attraction, or you're not seeing the miracle of your sowing, you're not seeing the reaping side of it, because we got to get to the root of your sowing. And that's just it. Your sowing is not rooted. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first we're going to deal with the leadership factor, being a leader, being a head. And all of you are right. You're spot on when you talked about those leadership qualities. And one of those was to lead by example. And when we look at the book of Numbers, and I'll tell you, you know where he stopped reading? He stopped at Numbers chapter 7 when he was going through all the different tribes. He said, and Yahudah, Nahshon, the son of Aminadab. Then he stopped. He said, okay, and then the rest of the tribe, just because, he wanted to go on with his lecture. But I found that quite interesting that he stopped there. Because that's where I stopped, because guess what? That's my son's name as well, Nachshon. But why was Nachshon such a head of his tribe, the head of the tribe of Judah? Why was he picked, son of Aminadab? Can anybody tell me? And it goes back to exactly what you all were talking about when we talked about leadership qualities. Nachshon was a great follower. Can anybody tell me what Nachshon did? Why was Nachshon honored in such a way? Given such, my goodness. So, anybody know why Nachshon is picked, that son of Aminadab? Eddie says the first to jump into the sea with belief. Eddie, you're right. He was the first to follow. Remember, a great leader is going to be an awesome follower. He was the first to follow. Everybody else complaining, mumbo jumbo, blah, blah, blah. Moses said, we need to pray. God told Moses, Shangdi told Moses, no, we don't need to pray. Get up. You don't stop praying. Follow. Tell what to follow. Anybody else know the story of Nachshon? That's what he did. He followed. That's why he was a great leader. That's why he's mentioned in our book. That's why my son's name is Nachshon. Because he's going to be the head. He's going to be a leader. Why? Because he's going to be a great follower. And my wife is carrying Nachshon quite well, actually. For those of you who are wondering, and he's in there kicking and screaming and playing and jumping and moving a lot. Baruch Hashem. I'm so thankful. You have to be the first to follow. So, but again, you must follow proper directions. Because again, can you imagine the scene? I'm pretty sure there was a lot of directions being given out. Oh, y'all, look, we're stopping at the sea. You know we can't swim. Let's turn around. We have an opportunity to go back and make amends with Pharaoh. Can you believe what? Can you imagine what was being said at that time? And I'm pretty sure they weren't too happy with Moses either. Moses, why are you going to take us way out here? And then you're going to leave. You know we can't swim. We didn't take the swimming lessons at the YMCA. We're brickmakers, Moses. Why? We didn't have the opportunity. We weren't like you guys. We didn't have a posh life. And we weren't like you Levites that didn't have to do any work. All we know is manual labor. We don't know how to swim. We barely got enough water to drink. And now you're telling us to jump into the water. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what the people were saying? I'm pretty sure a lot of them were saying, look, let's just turn around and go back. Let's just turn around. Let's go back. You know what they're saying? Oh, this is a sign. This is a sign that this was the wrong thing to do. Let's go back, give all these Egyptians their stuff back, and let's go back and clock in on our jobs while we still can. Can you all imagine what was being said at that time? Who do you listen to? What did Nachshon say? Nachshon said, okay, we were told, we were given instructions. I'm going to follow those instructions that were given to us by Moses and the God of Israel. I'm following them to the teeth. So what? There's water here. If we were told to go this way, then that's what we should be doing. Not, oh, well, let me go get a second opinion. Let me go converse with the masses. And what do the numbers say? The numbers say, oh, let's just take a consensus here. Who do you listen to? If you're going to be a follower, which you all are, you're awesome followers. You have to take action on proper leadership. You see? On right leadership. Well, he said he was a leader. He called himself a pastor. He called himself a priest. He called himself, the apostle of God. So he's the leader. He said he was. So this is what's so very important this day, Mr. And so we see in Nachshon from the tribe of Yehudah. Nachshon was a great, awesome, faithful follower. I would encourage you all this day to follow through. And at the same time, give your children, as you bring them up, and as you bear them, and as you reap children because of your sowing in that area, with your wife and your husband, is that you give them strong, positive names, positive energy, positive vibration. That's going to be so very important going forward. Now Sean already has a leg up in my wife's womb. Already has a leg up. Baruch Hashem. That's 2 legs up. Baruch Hashem. Thank you, universe. It is wonderful. These are things that we must understand going forward. Don't ever give up. I didn't give up on my father. Oh well, if that's how my father wants to be, depressed and just giving up on life, then so be it. No, I said no. I'm going to ground my father. I'm going to ground him. Everything's still grounded him. I'm going to ground him and going to ground him. He's going to grab hold to that rope. And I see him being grounded in my garden, in the backyard. Every day in my imagination, my father's grabbing that rope and he's so happy. I see him smiling in my imagination. Father can't see it, but I can. How awesome is that? Every day, I ground my wife, I ground Pharaoh. I see every day I'm putting that, in the morning I'm putting that, it's like a leash. It's like this white light leash, and I put it around Pharaoh. I put it around his neck, and he's grounded. Baruch Hashem. That's what I see in my imaginations. Those that have ears to hear and eyes to see. We have to see these things. See them through. Don't give up. It may take 3 months. It may take 3 years. So what? Don't give up. Be like Nakshan. When you don't see a road and dry land in front of you, you make a dry land. You go into that water. So what? This is what you were told to do. Do it. See it through. You do yourself a great service. Now Nakshan's name is rooted in our history. We read it. We read his name in our books. How awesome is that? How powerful is that, Mishpahah? Don't ever give up. Don't give in. I'm encouraging you this day. Keep going through your affirmations. Do it. Do it religiously. Do it. It's going to work. Now, you know what it's all about? I see this in my imagination. It's just all about you finding the right frequency, right? Once you tune yourself in with the right frequency, what you're trying to sow, I mean, Bob is your uncle after that. His name is Bob knows things. But you just, so if it's short and sweet, if it's long and lengthy, so be it. But you just got to tune in that right frequency for yourself, for you. That right vibration for you. You see, because we're all at different levels of amplification. So your frequency may be a little bit higher than, to attract or to manifest that particular thing. And don't get all jealous and don't throw in the towel because you're hearing all these great testimonies of everybody that's attracted and bringing in their desires and they're meeting their marks. And you're not. So you say, oh, they did it this time, so something must be wrong. And then maybe something is wrong. That's when you go and ask the Kohen, well, what do I need to change? Do I need to change and make some alterations? Do I need to kind of, do some different techniques that may benefit me better at my frequency, at my vibration? How do I raise my amplification? These are the kind of questions you may need to ask. Or you just may need to stay the course. Follow what you've been told by your leader. Great leader that you are. You're an awesome follower. Keep following that. But we must get to the root of the matter. And that's where we're going now. So in honor of my forefather, Nakshan, I'm going to name my son Nakshan. That's his name. Nakshan. That's it. And today, in this time, we have so many tools available to us. And by the way, having a son was on my vision board. See, that's one off. Manifestation complete. Son complete. Son in the tummy. Marinating right now. But that's on my vision board. We're really going to have a son. That's part of my affirmation. Thank you, universe. That's been attracted. Wife attracted. Again, off the board. Now there's new affirmations that come. It doesn't stop. And I would encourage you this day as well. Maybe some of you need to start with more simplistic affirmations. Something that can be manifested. You know, maybe you want millions. How about say, you know, within the next, 90 days, you would like $500. You know, do it like that because that builds your motivation. That builds it strengthens you. Because I think it was Shane Yard. So stop for that, Shane Yard. Shane Yard said to be a leader, you have to be strong. And that is so true. You can't come into self and be a Steve Urkel. You got to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, how do you get to Arnold Schwarzenegger from Steve Urkel? That means you have to do a lot of repetition. You have to become strong. You have to repeat, repeat, repeat. Don't give up. Never give in. That's so important. This strengthens you. So maybe starting out with smaller affirmations. And when you see those complete, then you realize it does work. Or maybe going in with this mentality. It may be better for some of you. Coming in just like Andres did in his book, Homeless to Billionaire, not millionaire, to billionaire. He was trying to disprove that the perfect law doesn't work. He's like, I'm going to disprove it. I'm going to do everything the book said just to show you that it doesn't work. Living underneath a pine tree. I think it was a banana tree on the beach. He said, I'm going to read this book and do exactly what it says just to show you that it doesn't work, my friend. Homeless to not millionaire, but to billionaire today because it does work. And it's not respective of person, and it doesn't discriminate, the perfect law. It doesn't discriminate. But again, we have to get to the root source, the root of the problem of why, when you look at your lives, you're not seeing your affirmations met. You're missing your marks. How about make small marks for yourself? How about start there? Because some of you can't be in it for the long haul. You can't wait 3 months, much less 3 years. Some of you you're not built that way right now. Why? Because now there has to be a change. You see, you have to deal with your head, and that may take some time. You're dealing with your head as a leader, because that head has been conditioned with many bad things that you have to deal with. You have to get that old stuff out of you so you can replace it with the new. Restructure things. You see, because this is a whole new world. Life as you know it comes through you. Wow, that's beautiful, but that's true. Isn't that so beautiful? It's beautiful and it's true. Life comes through you. So, when you look at your life right now, who do you have to blame for it? Not the man, not slavery, not mama and daddy, but you must look at yourself. Not your neighbor, not Aunt Sue, Uncle Jim. They had nothing to do with it. Life comes through you. You have every ability and opportunity. But again, who do you listen to? Who do you follow? It's so very important. Let's look at this real quick. Know your root. You must know your root. Remember we talked about who do you group yourself with? Who are you grouping yourself with today? People around you talking negativity? People around you giving you negative energy? How do you think that's going to affect your amplification meter? Well, Rabbi, I got to go to work with these people, this people, that people. Yeah, I understand that. I get that. But here's the question. Are you having an effect on them, or are they having an effect on you? Are you increasing their motivation, their joy, their happiness, or are they tearing you down and bring you down to depression levels? That's how you affect any group. Doesn't matter. You are the light. You shouldn't come in and your light is diminished by the darkness in a group. And God forbid, I'm not telling you to go hide yourself in your house and keep your light to yourself. No, you take it out to the world. But you have to illuminate light. And don't let your light be affected by all of the so-called darkness around you. You see? You have to be stronger. You see? Because when light comes, darkness got to go. So every group that you go into, I mean, how many of you have noticed this? You can go into a group, they'll be talking about just gossip or just down in the president or whatever, but you go to them, and then before you know it, you're cracking a few jokes, you're laughing with them, everybody's happy. You put a smile on somebody's face when they had a frown a few seconds ago. Now they're smiling and they're happy. And you bring them just, even if just for a short time, you bring them just a little bit of joy. That's the kind of effect that you should have in any kind of crowd, any kind of group. You are the group. You're the awesome tribes of Israel. That's who you are. Ever wonder why that, the whole of these religions, most of them, have taken from our books. But you still don't find them happy. You still don't find them whole. You still don't find them complete. And yet they're the most awesome followers that you ever have. It's because their leadership is wrong. They're being taught wrong. They're being taught the wrong way. Like I Queen had this conversation with this, this religious, Judaism religious mumbo-jumbo guy. He's asking at the end of the day, what does the virgin birth have to do with my rescue? I mean, come on, let's face it. But people who are distracted about stuff that is no relevance whatsoever to how is it going to improve my life. At the end of the day, what does the virgin birth have to do with me attracting and manifesting, and meeting my marks that I have for myself and for my family? Think about it for a minute. So do you see how people waste so much energy on stuff of no relevance, and they live a life that is just mute? It's just mute. It's just a mute life. And none of these things have relevance to life. The Master Yeshua said, I've come that you may have life. So I guess the people wasn't having life. Think about that for a minute. And that you may have that life what? More abundantly. Life in abundance. Oh, that's good stuff, isn't it? Book of Shem. Our books are awesome. But you must understand them. This is why the son of Aaron is so important. You must understand and comprehend our books and hear our books with the proper ear. Because there's many ears out there that you hear it from, and my goodness. And they're doing our books a disservice. Why? It's because they only pick and choose and they take things out of our books that suits their needs. And then they what they do is they take commentary on our books that has no relevance. And they give meaning to our books that have no meaning. Moses would come back and he'd be scratching his head like, what the heck? That's not what I meant, and that's surely not what I said. And that is not how you carry out the Torah of the God of Israel. But that's what has happened. All of you awesome tribes of Israel. Now we have an opportunity to bring everyone back to default settings, but the default settings start with us. We bring everybody back to the basics. Not to all this mumbo jumbo and they dress it up and make it look all pretty and look all nice with no energy behind it whatsoever. No relevance, no energy. No energy whatsoever. I don't want to be a part of that. I know you don't either. You see, the human model is broken because, well, no, we were told to put that one on hold. We're going to put that one on hold. So back to our sower stance, because all of you are sowers. And thank you to my forefather, Akshan, for what you did and for the action that you took. what somebody described, I forgot who gave us a little synopsis of what Nachshon did, the first to jump into the Sea of Reeds. He's talking about Daniel, Eddie's as well, is that he took action. And you see, this is where the law of attraction just leaves you hanging. Because the law of attraction tell you just stay there hanging over there dangling and just dreaming and dreaming and believe it's going to happen, blah, 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 believe, but don't take any action. Perfect law says it requires you to take action. You must take action. You're not seeing your sowing turning into reaping, it's because you're not taking action. How many of you know I can sit here and envision and write all my affirmations about having a son, but if I don't take action under the sheets, there's not going to be no son. Am I correct? I'm just putting it in simple terms. That you must take action. I mean, come on, let's face it. There's action that must be required upon my part to bear a child. I have a role, I have to take action. I can sit there and look at my wife and osmosis all I want. Oh, bring me a son. I'm sitting there looking at her stomach. Oh, bring me a son. Oh, you're going to bring me a son. I'm going to write all these beautiful affirmations about having a son. A healthy, newborn baby boy. Whole and complete. But unless, Father takes action on that, there's not going to be no son. This action is required upon me. The same way with you all. You have to take action. And I didn't quit taking action. Action indeed. Yeah. And I didn't quit taking action until the deed was done. Until the manifestation came about. Now I have new manifestation, new aspirations. You see? Of course, it had to become Action Jackson. Indeed, you must take action. And all of you must become Action Jackson as well. You must take action. And you must continue to take action. Well, you say, well, Rabbi, when do I stop taking action? When your manifestation has come in, you give thanks and gratitude, and now it's time for you to write new affirmations. See, now you up the game. And Hakohen can tell you, there's another one that's coming off my list real quick. And like he said this week in our discussion, he said, Kefa, you're right at the line. You're right at the line. And I tell you, it's just super amazing how in, conventional and unconventional ways that your manifestations happen. A little humble country, well, we can call it, a humble country in the East. Out of there, this product came that brought forth this human being came. Total different belief than I have. No, we both believe in Abraham, by the way, so we had the same belief. But through his experiences and through his energy, because you see, at the end of the day, it's all about energies that are attracting. They don't have to have the same belief that you have. They don't have to have the belief of Abraham, but they have that same frequency, the same vibration that you have, and you can attract that from thousands and thousands of miles away. In conventional and unconventional ways. Things that you may have never dreamed of how it's going to come about, but it just does, because that's what you attract. Your vibration, your frequency is putting that out, and you attract the same kind of people to you. That's going to help see out. You see, my attractions, the fulfillment of my attractions didn't come from Jeff Bezos' Amazon box, or it didn't come from the heavens themselves. But it came from other people. Think about that for a minute. Other human beings. So if you sit here running other human beings under the bus, saying that they're evil, they're going to hell, blah, 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 how's that going to affect you getting your attractions in? It's going to highly affect it. We're human beings here on this earth. Been given dominion over this earth. We're to look after one another. So what do you believe in? Do you have the same energy that I have? And if you do, then they're going to assist you and help you. They're here. You attracted them. And some of you have run away. You have run away. You shunned your very manifestation coming in the form of another energy that you say, oh no, I can't listen to you. I'm not going to hear you, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? You just ran away your manifestation. You just ran away your attraction. You threw it in the bin. You discarded it. Sad to say, but this is true. Because it didn't come like you thought it was supposed to come. Oh, you read it in this book, and it's going to happen this way. Or you watched this TV show, Hollywood said it's going to go like this, and she's going to fall into my arms, and she's going to throw me a rose, and she'll say, I love you forever. Well, it may not happen that way, like Hollywood said. I was talking to this man the other day. He said, yeah. He said, I met my wife at a taco stand. Another man said, yeah, I met my wife on a bus. On a bus, Mishpah. Another man said, yeah, I met my wife at Home Depot. I was like, wow. Home Depot. Unexpected and expected sources. You have to be ready for that. Some of you, your opportunity, your attraction was there, and you disregarded it because it come from you wasn't expecting it to happen that way. You definitely wasn't expecting that man or that woman to be the one to help you meet and fulfill and attract your particular want, your mark. How many of you right now have marks? You have marks. Meaning you have things that you want accomplished in your life, that you desire, that you... Anybody have a mark? Put up a capital M if that's you. Right now you have marks. You know, yeah, Rabbi, I do have marks that I'm trying to get, I want to get fulfilled. I have marks. I have marks. I'm looking at them right now. I say them every morning. I meditate on them during the day. I see them being attracted to me and manifested. You must have marks first. This is the seed in your sowing, is that mark. That's the seed right there. Imagine that as being the seed. Now, let's read this in my closing, because I'm going to wrap it up here in a minute. Know your root. Now we have to get to the root. And the Master Yeshua talked about this in a parable. I'm going to read you the parable from Matthew. I guess, yeah, we'll read Matthew and then we'll read the one in Mark. I just want to get to the key points of this to take it to a different level of understanding. In Matthew chapter 13, Matthew chapter 13, verse 1. The same day Yeshua went out. Again, I read from the Abrahamic Faith, Exarch Study Scripture of the Abrahamic Faith Bible. If you don't have this Bible, you can purchase it on Amazon, at lulu.com as well. This will really help you in your Bible studies, tubers. Really, really help you. Be a great assist. Really, really help you. Add it to your library, and you'll do yourself a great service. Matthew chapter 13, verses 1. The day Yeshua went out of the bay of the house and by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together to him. So he went out on the ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. This is why I ask you, how many of you are sowers? I'm going to say that again. The Master Yeshua is beginning to give a parable about a sower that went forth to sow. Any sowers in the house? Because if you're not no sower, then this don't pertain to you. You might want to just shut off the power. Because, again, this is only for sowers, Mishpah. If you try to, a sower went forth to sow. Somebody's going for, somebody trying to sow a relationship. Who's that person that's trying to sow a relationship in here? The sower went forth to sow. Jacob and Yahudah trying to sow, the one that was trying to sow forth a relationship. Trying to sow forth that husband, that wife. Is that you? Here's the sower. He went forth to sow. To talk about that Jacob and Yahudah. Pay close attention to what the Master's saying here. There's a key in this for you sowers. I'm trying to sow. I'm gonna sow and sow and sow until I cannot sow anymore. And I'll never stop sowing. Let me put it to you like that. Because there's such thing as I cannot. I'm gonna sow. I'm the super sower. Super sow Sam. Yeah, I'm the super sower. Excuse me. I am the super sower. I'll keep sowing and sowing and sowing and sowing and sowing. Now, the Master's saying here, I know all of you have heard this parable. I've heard this parable in Catholicism. I've heard this parable in Christianity. I've heard it in Judaism. Blah 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 blah. But let's get it on with the parable. The Master Yeshua said that a sower went forth to sow. That's Matthew chapter 13, verse 3. And when he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them up. Some fell by stony places where they had not much earth. Pay close attention to this. Where they had not much earth. And forthwith they sprang up because they had, listen to what the master's saying, because they had no deepness of earth. I want you to remember that. Highlight that in your Bible too. Some on the stony places where they had not much earth. So earth seems to be very important in our sowing. Pay close attention now. Pay close attention. And forward they sprang up because they had no deepness of earth. That's the translation in the Abrahamic Faith Bible. No deepness of earth. So it seems to me, Mishpahah, for you sowers, that there must be some deepness of earth to this now if the sower is going to sow. Okay? Let's keep reading. And when the sun was up, they were scorched because they, listen to this, because they had no root. They withered away because they had no root. Ooh-wee, it's getting deep now. Now let's keep reading. And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But listen to this. But other fell onto what? Good ground. What is good ground? And brought forth fruit. Some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Look at verse 9 of Matthew chapter 13. Who has ears, let him hear. Who do you listen to? Who has ears, let him hear. Who do you listen to so you can follow? Do you see it, Mishpahah? I want you to see it. Now let's go back up and see what the master said. What is this good earth? Look at Matthew chapter 13, verse 5. Because you see, because they didn't have much earth, look, just like the master says here, the translation says here, in the Abrahamic Faith Bible, they had no deepness of earth. Verse 6 says, because they had no root. It's important this day for you, if you're going to sow, you must be rooted. Now, what does that mean? You must have some deepness of earth to you. What is Hakohen teaching us to do? He's teaching us to ground ourselves daily. Am I correct? You must have some deepness of earth to you. You must be rooted. If you're going to be a sower, you sowers, pay close attention. You must be rooted. Let me give you a good example. I like to garden. How many of you garden in here? You like to garden. You're probably growing some vegetables in your backyard right now. How many of you understand, like, when you plant, I have tomatoes back here, corn back here, bitter gourd is growing back here. My goodness, like crazy. Cucumbers. Let me tell you the cucumber story straight from Rabbi Kefa's garden. Straight from my garden. We planted the seeds of the cucumber. The cucumber seeds took root, and they began to root down into the earth. Right? They rooted. And now, every day, we're picking 5 to 6 cucumbers off of this tree. Every single day, from that one seed. Do you see how the multiplication starts? But again, the cucumber seed had to get rooted in the earth. And thanks to Pharaoh, fertilized earth. Good earth, like the Master Yeshua talked about. Now, how does that pertain? Now, we're still taking cucumbers like I told you. We're averaging 5 cucumbers off of all the seeds that we planted here in the garden. Averaging 5 cucumbers a day. Eating cucumbers with every meal at night with our dinner. Man, I done had cucumber soup. All kind of ways. And I showed you pictures of the tomatoes. Tomatoes are starting to come out now too. Oh, Hukashim. All kind of ways to cook the tomatoes, to cook the cucumbers. We're giving the cucumbers away to my friends here. And they're like, wow, I've never tasted cucumbers like this. I said, because you didn't get them at the grocery store. This is homegrown. They're like, wow, we love the cucumbers. Do you see the abundance? That's just what the Master talked about. Matthew chapter 13, verse 8. But others fell on good ground and brought forth fruit. Some 100, some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. It's just going to keep on keeping on. But what's the key to sowing? Is that you must be rooted. You must have some deepness of earth. If you don't have deepness of earth, then you won't have any kind of form of being fruitful. Now, what does this deepness of earth mean? Excuse me. Of course, you're grounding. But even more important is that, like we've always been saying here, is that now you have to start looking within yourself. You must root yourself deep. What's within you? How do you root yourself deep within you? This is your connection to your I am, to yourself. You must get rooted there. You must take your seed, you must take that mark, and you must root it within you. It must become not in your heart, it must become into your subconscious. You see, now you're rooted into that good earth. I hope you're understanding this, Ms. Bahar. Because once you, and this is why I told you, see, some of your affirmations, some of your marks, start out simple. Start out simple. Because just like that cucumber tree, you know, cucumbers that are just, I mean, they're just giving us 30-fold, 100-fold, and continue to multiply, and continues to bear fruit. It started out with just a little tiny little fledgling of some kind of semblance of a cucumber. Really small. Look like one of those Tic Tacs. You know, Tic Tacs you put in your mouth to keep your breath smelling good. It's like a little tiny Tic Tac. Then all of a sudden, the baby grew. Thanks to Pharaoh's manure, Baruch Hashem, and our awesome composter, Baruch Hashem. It's just a circle of life over here. We're recycling everything. All of our food scraps go into the composter with some of Pharaoh's poo-poo manure, and then some of the garden grass from the lawnmower. My goodness. You put that in your soil, and then believe me, you have good earth. You definitely have good earth. So the earthing is key to your sowing. See, this is why a lot of you are not seeing it, because, yeah, it's going on to the stony. Because why? You haven't broken the barrier to go into the good earth. So your seed lands, you see, so your mark just lands on the stony side. Or it doesn't even scratch the earth, and then the birds just come and take it away. And those are, oh, well, you have a good mark, you have a desire, but then you just don't follow through with it. You just stop. Maybe you do it a week, and then you just shut it down after a week. You're like, oh, well, no use in doing this. It doesn't work. I'm listening to all these people on Power Talk get their affirmations and their attraction. Everything's coming in, and they're attracted and manifested, but it doesn't work for me. So you allow the birds to come and take it. Birds come take your seed. You're sowing seed, and now you never sow. You never reap anything. Or then you do receive it, and then you take in the seed, and you're super excited, and you're motivated, you're full of joy. But you never get down to the good earth. Your depthness of earth is not deep enough. You don't go to the subconscious. You say, no, forget about that mumbo jumbo. That new age stuff, I don't need that. Forget that stuff, man. So what suffers? Your mark, your seed suffers, because it doesn't get to that good earth. But then when you allow yourself, and it may take some time. Man, look, the cucumbers didn't come up overnight. It took about a couple of weeks of watering and care. And I had to do the same thing every day. Get home from work, I got to water. I got to water them really good. Make sure they got water. Because it's hot here in San Antonio now. We're pushing 102 degrees here today. Yesterday was 100 degrees. So you got to water them. Because believe me, the heat's going to come. The rains are going to come. Man, we got some good rain from the heavens the other day. I was thanking Mother Earth for the wonderful rains that we get. And we're noticing when we get rains from the heavens, my goodness, it's like all the vegetation, all the vegetables and flowers, they just grow. It's like you know, the heavenly waters on steroids. Everything just grows super quick, super strong, super rooted. They get more and more rooted in the soil, in the good earth. So you take your mark and you've got to place it in the good earth. That means you've got to get to your subconscious level so your consciousness can kick in. Some of you have marks, but you're still unconscious. Thus, yeah, some things will spring up, and then all of a sudden they'll die. It's because you're not in the good earth. You haven't went to source within you. You're still looking around for some, you're still on the, stony ground. Oh, well, let me go listen to what this guy, I heard the Kohen, but let me go listen to what this guy said. And before you know it, you get confused. And then your seed cannot go down to the good earth. Your depthness of earth is not deep enough, like the Master was talking about. Thus your seed doesn't make it. It doesn't survive. You see? It doesn't survive. So you must get beyond, you must get to your I am. You've got to get to source within you, to the good earth. And then you can begin to nurture that mark, that seed. And then, over time, it doesn't matter how much time it takes, because you're going to continue to do the same thing until you see fruit. You see, it's important to see fruit, to taste the fruits of your labor. But let's just face it, some of you have your marks so way out there that, you don't afford it the time in the universe, the time to bring it into you. If it don't happen yesterday, then that's too late. And so you give up. And the birds come and take your seed away. And you totally forget about your mark. You totally forget about it. God forbid that's you. Don't let that be you. Note that the Master said, those that have ears, let them hear. It didn't say those that have a mouth. You only have one mouth, thank goodness. Because the other side of it is that you talk yourself out of your own mark. Oh, that's never going to happen. And like Simon was saying, thought is everything. You begin to think negative. And, I'm never going to have nothing. I just must concern myself with these bills, and that's it. I'm not a helper. Matter of fact, I'm not a helper. I need help. And a lot of people think that way. I'm laughing, but this is so true. Because you got to laugh at this stuff. And you're like, wait a minute. You are a helper. No. I need help. You see, so you're coming from a position of lack. And guess what you're going to get back to you? Lack. The universe is going to keep bringing you lack. You're never going to get on top of your bills because of your lack. And your head. You must follow through with the direction that you've been given. And don't let your mind tell you that you're never going to be nothing. You came from nothing, so you're going to be nothing. Andres Pariah, his name, Pariah, this man was homeless, and now he's a billionaire. Are you kidding me? The universe is not a respecter to anyone. You too can be the same way. But again, you got to get to the good earth. The good earth is within you. So when you plant and you write your marks and your affirmations, you embed them in the good earth. And believe me, it's just a matter of you continuing to do what you have to do until those things are manifested in your life. And you see them just as real could be. You see that woman just as real could be, like I do. I see that woman. She's real to me. My wife, she's real. This baby. Man, Nakshan, every night he's kicking. I read to him every day. He's real. He's kicking. My goodness. It becomes real to you. That car is just as real as it is in your driveway right now, in your garage. And I see you right now. Your imagination, man, you put that wax on it. You shined up the tires. You took pictures in front of your car, and you've given gratitude and thanks. Same way with that house. It's just as real as it can be. When it becomes real to you, then you know, okay, this stuff does work. It does. It does work. Perfect law is just that. It's perfect. But do you have the patience for perfect? That's a million-dollar question, right? Do you have the patience for it? And that's where you need to stay the course. And this is why I want to encourage you today. Hang in there. Don't give up. Don't give in. What are you giving up and giving into? Don't be a quitter. Don't quit. Be persistent. When everything around you telling you on the outside, there's no way in hell this stuff's going to happen. You tell yourself, no, I'm a follower. I'm not Sean. I see water, but I'm going to walk on some dry land. Baruch Hashem. There's water in front of me. So what? I'm a follower, and I'm going to follow this through. Come Shiloh or Sheol, I'm following this through. I'm following it through. There is nothing else out there. This is Source. You want a direct connection to Source? Perfect law is the way. That's it. It's the perfect law. That's it. That's it. Now, if you want detours, look outside of the perfect law. And you'll get detours to detour you for the rest of your life walking on this earth. The life you have before you is what you have brought forth. Life comes through you. Life is by you. Life. Your life as you see it this day. I want you to think about that. Meditate on it this Shabbat. Think about it. This is so true. Right now, you have what you want. Because that's what you want. Right now. Your condition, your situation right now is because of what you want. You made these decisions. You made these choices. Right now. So it's very important that we root ourselves. What's rooting yourself? What's good ground? The good ground is within you. You're not going to find the good ground outside of yourself. The good ground is already within you, Mishpah. You are the good ground. But you have to get there. You're going to have to dig. You're going to have to dig to get deep. And you're really going to have to root yourself. Once you're rooted, you cannot be moved. A lot of you move to and fro is because you're not rooted in the good ground. So you're tossed and turned. Wind comes, takes you out. Sun comes, scorches you. And you're so solid, like stony ground, that, you have an affirmation, you have a mark, and the birds just come take it away. Somebody come tell you, oh, you'll never do that. That's the form of a bird. They'll come, oh, you'll never do that. That'll never happen. And guess what? You believe them. And guess what? There goes your whole dream, your whole affirmation, your whole wants have just been taken away just like that. Just because of what somebody else said. My daughter came to me the other day. Somebody said I'm ugly. So what? You're beautiful. I don't care. You're beautiful. So you're going to let what? One person. I said, well, how many people said that you were ugly? One. So you're going to let one person mess up your mood and take away your happiness. One bird comes and takes your seed away from you. So you can't sow anything anymore. Are you kidding me? Forget about it. So this is where we are, Mishpah. I tell you, this is where we are. Think about rooting yourself. Rooting is important. You must root yourself. For a sower that wants to sow, you must root. You have to root yourself into the good ground. The good earth, like the Master Yeshua says. And again, he mentions it again in Matthew and in Mark as well as Luke. They all mention this parable. In the same way, at the end of the day, if you're going to go deep, if you want to root yourself deep, you have to deeply go within inside of yourself. That's depth. Depth doesn't come without. It comes within. that note, I'm going to wrap it up for this Shabbat. I hope this was beneficial to anyone out there. I don't hope. Hope is not a word that I use. My desire is that this lecture has been beneficial to someone out there listening via YouTube or even listening live in this room, in this forum. Because, you know, it's a sad commentary for some folks is that they don't get their desires met. I want my desires met, and my desires are met. I'm looking at my board right now, and they're just coming off the board. Baruch Hashem. Kenneth Hagee never did this for me. Never. John Hagee, Kenneth Copeland, none of these guys. Perfect Law has. The Kohen has. These laws are universal. They work, Mishpahah. I'm telling you, they work, but you've got to get grounded. You've got to take your seed, your marks, seriously. Some of you still see this as some kind of game. Or you want assistance. No, you are the assistance. Well, I need help. I understand if you need help with explaining how to take the action, but the action is straightforward. Just go and do it like Nakshan did. Just get your butt in the water, because that's what you were told to do. Go this way. Well, they have this obstacle here. So what? I'm still going this way. There's no detours here for me. There should be no detours there for you as well. But maybe some of you maybe want to heed my advice and maybe, you know, make some market, test the waters. I would encourage you to test the waters. See if this works. Just like Andres did. He tested. He said, man, I'm going to prove this wrong. I'm going to do it so I can tell you that it doesn't work. And it worked for him. But maybe you need to make your desires something more reasonable and reachable to you. And then when you see that met, that's only going to bring and give you fuel to go with higher aspirations and wants and needs. That's what's important to understand. You do that, that will give you the biggest fuel that you need, more energy, increase your amplification so that you can meet your desires and wants and needs, and you can make your marks. At the end of the day, I want all your marks met. All of you. I want all of you to meet your marks. That's my desire for all of you, is to meet your marks and to live a beautiful life. This life is so beautiful. And make a beautiful life for yourself. Happy, joy, and peace. And love, by the way. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. I'll say Shabbat Shalom to all of you. We'll leave it open for questions. Some of you may have questions. Some of you may need to make some adjustments. Get with the Kohen if you need to. If you feel like, you're not just getting anywhere, because I'm telling you, perfect law, you're going to start the season. How many of you are seeing changes? How many of you're going through your affirmation, you go through your rituals, and you're actually seeing some changes? You should be seeing some kind of changes. You should, even if they're subtle, you should be seeing them. You should be feeling them and actually seeing changes in your life, where things are just coming to you. I'm telling you, if you're not, then maybe you need to make some adjustments that will help you. You need to get with the Kohen. He can help you make the necessary adjustments. Because maybe you're kind of detouring off of the straight path. The shortest distance between 2 points is what? A straight line. A straight line. A straight line, Mishpahah. Sit down for that, Kohen. We'll leave those people to it. All right. On that note, we'll wrap it up. And we'll leave it open for any questions at this time. Anybody, you have any questions, please do. Get out of the religious mindset. Get out of that mumbo jumbo. And get back into your inner self. And root yourself into your I am. I'm telling you. Woo-wee. And that's when you're on the good soil. And everything you want manifested in your life will be manifested. It will be. And that is wonderful. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpahah. Over to you, Kohen. Any questions, please?
Toda for that, Rabbi Kefa. Just a quick note. I may be changing the room name will remain the same. I want to modify my user ID, so I think for that I may have to create a new ID. I was thinking I'll do it for next week, create a new ID, and then use the same room name as it is, so that way we don't get confused. So make sure that if you mark this room as a favorite, you may want to just note that you might lose that favorite next week if I switch my name over and create a new room with the same name. The link might not be the same. So just search for it next week on the Sabbath. Search for the same name, or just search for Empower Yourself, and you should be able to find the room once I've changed my user ID, and then you should be fine, because I want to change it to Simon Altaha Cohen instead of the R-E-B-E-E, Rabbi Shimon. I want to switch it to the other side instead. So that's that. I just wanted to quickly brief over one last verse of the sayings of the Master Yeshua. It says, blessed are those, in Matthew chapter 5 verse 10, blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You just saw this person that walked into this room, it fits perfect that particular verse. Think about it for a second, what this person said. Oh boy, I sense a cult. You see, this is what happens when you are going to follow something other than what they theologically believe and what they hold true. So the Master is saying, blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of Shemaim. Now, to them, righteousness is like some kind of theological terminology, and they use that terminology is in a way like, hey, if you don't believe the way we believe, you're all going to hell. That's their problem. You see, they're stuck in their little narrow mindset, and if you don't follow their mindset, they will put you down as unrighteous people, or they'll call you a cult, or they'll call you something else. It's always going to be one thing or another. So like this person that I spoke to this morning, who had a hard time with the virgin birth, his consensus was stuck on the virgin birth. He couldn't get off it. It was upsetting him that, it's anathema to believe in a virgin birth some way or shape or another. Yet, whether you believe in a virgin birth or you don't believe in a virgin birth, it affects your salvation none. There's nothing to it. It don't affect you any particular way. But he had made it a theological issue, which I had to then correct him and say, well, you know that the virgin birth is spoken about in the Torah as well. And it doesn't have to be necessarily about Jesus' virgin birth, but it's actually speaking about a birth, which is miraculously conceived through God, through a particular instance, and he had no knowledge of that particular instance. So this is how you're going to find people are going to rubbish you. They're going to call you names. They're going to call you a cult. They're going to do all sorts of dance and disco dance against you. So remember that he says that the Matthew, I think Matthew here is very pertinent scripture, 5:10. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for there is a kingdom of heaven. Righteousness simply means not that, you got to meet some theological perspective of some pope or some bishop in the church. No, none of that. Righteousness is when you hit the mark. Hitting the mark is Torah. When you hit the mark, you achieved your desire, you achieved your goal. That's what you're here for. You're here for this. You are here to meet your mark so that you can be a benefit to humanity. You can be a light to the other people. And if you can't hit the mark yourself, how much light are you going to be to somebody else? If you live in the darkness, you're also going to be darkness to everybody else. So therefore, this idea that theologically, you've got to be theologically right in some receipt is a total wrong receipt. Here it simply means, because he goes on to say something else after that verse. Very next verse he goes on to say the following: blessed are ye when men shall revile ye and persecute you, and you shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. Now what did that person do in a room? This person came up and straight away said, this is a cult. So by that's a form of persecution. Has no understanding of what we're talking about, has no understanding of the actual point of what is being mentioned, what is being said. So this person is stuck to theological post. And it doesn't matter what you tell that person, They're always going to call you a cult. They're always going to call you unrighteous. That is what the Master Yeshua was speaking about. You're going to get people like that all around you. Your relatives, your friends, they will say, hey, you're into New Age or something. They have absolutely no proper understanding of what the actual words mean, because he says to you that rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is the reward for great is your reward in the Shemaim, in the heavens, for so persecuted they are the prophets which were before you. What does that mean? Does that mean I have to die to get that reward? And if it means I have to die to get the reward, then shame on me for misunderstanding it. Because it doesn't mean that at all. It means in this earth, in this world, the prophets were persecuted for this earth and this world, not for what they're going to achieve after when they are dead and buried and long gone. That's a different matter altogether. So he's talking about right here today, right here now, what you're going to get. Because if you are going to follow righteousness, which means where you attain your desires and results, guess what? Heaven is kissing your feet. Heaven is then kissing your feet. But these ignoramuses that are around us, they are no better. You can argue with them, you can try to explain to them politely, but they will always come back with their theological nonsense. Theological nonsense is what you want to be careful about. Because as I explained millions of times, we are under a covenant. We don't need no theological nonsense. We don't need to affirm, no, oh, Jesus has saved me, oh, he's come down, blah, blah, blah. No, we don't need to do none of that. We are under a covenant. We are already redeemed under the covenant. The salvation is already given to Kul Israel, all of Israel. You don't have to affirm no theological statements any longer. Because if you have to affirm theological statements, then there are millions of religions out there, each causing you to say a statement. Hey, if you do this statement, you become a Catholic. If you do this statement, you become a Muslim. If you do this statement, you'll be a Hindu. Well, I don't need any of those statements. I have the Torah and I have the covenants. I have the books. I don't need any theological statements to affirm anything, because God already said it. Today is Pentecost for many people. Shavuot. Today is the day the Torah was inaugurated officially to the whole nation of Israel on the Mount of Sinai in Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia today has a new religion. And they are making people follow that religion. Yet out of Saudi Arabia came our faith, commanded and illustrated and given. 2 million people standing there, roughly. 2 million people standing under a mountain and hearing the voice of God. Can any religion today claim that? Show me a single religion in the world that can claim that God came down and spoke to them and they heard His voice. Not a single religion can claim that today. And I'm talking about majority people. The majority of the people standing there, they all heard God's voice. We're not talking here about one person saying he's a prophet and he heard the voice. Or another person saying he was given some golden tablets. We're not speaking like that. We are speaking about a whole nation of people receiving a whole voice of God simultaneously. Never heard before, and never has happened after that, never has happened before that, and it will never happen again. So this is the important point. When people come to you and revile you and call you all sorts of names, no, that is exactly what Yeshua was saying. Exactly what Jesus was saying to you. That people will come, people will revile you, people will persecute you, they'll call you names for my sake. Why? Because we're trying to follow the teachings laid out and demonstrated by the Messiah Himself. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its flavor, then how shall it be salted? Well, if we lose the ability to do the things that have given us, that the Torah has shown us, that the Messiah has re-demonstrated, what is left for us? It will be like salt with no flavor. So therefore we have to be the real salt with flavor. The pink variety with 82 minerals in it. So we have to be salt like that. And we have to continue to continue, because righteousness is about attaining your desire. God is not, like most of these people will tell you, God is not waiting out there to send you to some fiery furnace and to burn you to cinders Because God doesn't get no joy out of such things. God gets no pleasure out of such things. But these people will tell you that somehow there is a God who gets pleasure out of punishing you. And so they keep going around telling everybody, you're a sinner, you're a sinner, you're a sinner. If you don't do this, if you don't say these words, you're a sinner. Well, guess what? Sin only means that you missed the mark. You didn't achieve your desire. That's all sin means, nothing more than that. You remain within the covenant. You remain within favor. And favor is upon all of Israel. All the awesome tribes of Israel have been granted favor. I don't have to remind you what a false prophet in the Bible, by the way, had said years ago, a Gentile prophet who actually tried to mislead Israel. We're talking about Balaam here. Remember Balaam? He tried to mislead Israel. He himself said what? The tents of Israel are blessed. Israel cannot be cursed. Out of his mouth came blessings for Israel through God. Now don't allow people on this good earth to speak bad words to you, because nothing bad can happen to you. If you remember that what happened back then in the book of Numbers, we'll probably come to that Pasha sooner or later. But it is what it is. We are the awesome tribes of Israel. And you have the Kohen in the gate to assist you. And nothing can stop you from your successes. Nothing. Let the ignorant pass as dogs barking. Let them bark like dogs and they pass. The caravan continues to move. We don't really care. So with that in mind, it's very important that you remember that it is about you. It is about your relationship with God. It is not about some theological statement that you have to make in a church to appease some pastor or some bishop. None of that. So with that, I will leave you to have a great Shabbat today in North America. Have a great festival tonight. Enjoy yourselves with your families. If you're across the pond, I guess, it's almost evening there. Enjoy your new day. Enjoy your festival. Your festival is probably already started. Enjoy your festival with your families. Give thanks to God. Be happy. Be grateful. Always remember gratitude. One thing I will tell you is this. As a practice, give gratitude daily. As a practice, give gratitude before you go to bed. It will immensely benefit you. Okay, so you have a great day. Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom. Todah. And I'm going to close the room. We'll see you next week. Shalom Shalom.